Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Post-PAX co-optional podcast. Are any of us sick?
No, I'm not sick yet. But now that we've talked about it, we're all going to get sick. So thank you.
I ain't said shit.
No, you haven't. That is true. I'll give you that.
Great.
Why?
How are we all doing, guys?
Pretty good. Not PAX-POX, thankfully, by the looks of it. We're all pretty much not so much immune to it, but we sanitized a lot. Like, we went through several bottles of sanitizer each, I think.
Yeah, thank God you were sitting next to me when we were doing the signing, because I always forget. And you were like, every few people, you were just squirting shitloads
Sanitize, always.
Oh, yeah, it's probably sanitized. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and we just, I managed to drop my pocket sanitizer somewhere in the hallway on the way to the place where I really needed it, which was the signing. But thankfully, the PAX enforcers. Wow, what was an enforcer? I mean, that's a cat enforcer, an enforcer. If you weren't already aware of that.
Ah, stop!
There you go. We need that Generalissimo cat from the Behemoth booth. It can be our cat enforcer. But we went to the signing line and then realized, we don't have any hand sanitizer. So the enforcers got us a big bottle of it. We just threw it around. Quite literally. It's like, all right, use it, toss it to Crendor. Yeah.
I'm so happy that we now have that sort of a culture inside of conventions where it's like you go to the Twitch booth and they're partly sponsored by Old Spice and there's deodorant everywhere.
Yeah.
And you go to other booths and they have like
sanitizer,
bottles of hand sanitizer. And
yeah,
just
baby
like,
wipes.
God.
Absolutely.
Everybody's trying to make it so that being down there surrounded by millions of people it's fine.
Yeah, because they're sick of getting sick, and I don't blame them. You know, PAX is a nightmare for that. And let's be honest, day 3 of PAX is usually like Smell City, USA.
Yeah.
It's like, what a unique and interesting culture of smells we've discovered in the expo hall. That wasn't really true this time. Like, I don't know, maybe I was staying out of the way of people that do smell, I guess, but I didn't have any problems on the floor with people that just stank or anything like that. So
our fans smell wonderful.
They do. There were no smelly fans. No smelly fans.
I had no bad hugs. And I'm a person whose face is always at armpit height, and I was also fine. So it's, it's a sign of the times. We're doing good, guys.
I did hear that several people got pink eye from the VR demos.
No!
Yes. Yep. So I guess they were not cleaning those properly. So I'm glad we didn't do that.
Oh my God. And I kept saying all weekend too, I was like, man, I really want to do some VR stuff, but I'm probably not going to have time. Thank God I didn't.
Yeah. Some people ended up with pink eye. There were photos on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. Like, I don't know how they managed that. I don't know, but they did.
And that whatever volunteer was at those booths, and they were like, literally, your only job is to clean these. And he was like, whatever.
Just didn't do it.
That kid gave everyone pink eye. You should feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it happened. Jesse, welcome to the show. Would you like to contribute in some way?
Hello. Would I? Not really. Am I?
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, no,
Are you still opening packs? Is that why?
No, oh my God, no. Unlike some people,
I got 150 to go, man. I've got a lot more ways to go.
I had 40 that I pre-ordered, and I got 3 for free, and I opened them all and made a video where I'm like, look at the synergies! Oh! And then
you don't even play that game. You got to put that video out anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about in it. I know that there's a lot of technical jokes and how I can't wait to play.
Yeah.
Because
eyeball blows up. It weirds me out.
It does, yeah. Open a pack, blows up an eyeball.
Because you were like opening them so fast, just like open, all right, cool, open, all right, cool. I was just watching this fucking eyeball blow up over and over and over again, and I was like, this is weirding me out. I don't like this.
Yeah, I opened it, was like, cool, all right, well.
Those sure are cards you've got there.
Up playing, and Yeah, I got back from PAX and literally have done nothing. Never mind. I can't say I've done nothing. I got obsessed last night. I discovered that in patch 2.41 of Diablo, there's a new item called Cosmic Wings. That's like space butterfly wings. I was like, I fucking need those. And so I logged in last night and looked around for like 3 hours, only to realize that patch 2.41 doesn't come out until right now. So I was just caught up in the moment and lured a bunch of very nice people to help me, and we found nothing. But I do know where to get it now, so at least I know like where to go. But oh my god, it was an adventure. So I wasted a lot of time last night.
You know, I have a similar story in that regard. So last night I looked through a couple of the reviews of the new PS4 game Alienation, which is by the guys that made, I think, Dead Nation. And apparently it's like super cool, like got 90s, 100s all around. It's like, oh, this is amazing. Like, great. Finally something to play on my PlayStation. So I boot my PlayStation, because I haven't turned this thing on in months. Something's gone horribly wrong with it. And it forgot our account details. So like, okay, cool. I know what it is. I'm just going to log back into our PSN account because it's Jenna's PSN account. We've had it for like 10 years through like 2 PlayStation 3s, a couple of Vitas, and PS4. So like, all right, this will be easy. No, it turns out the email is not valid. So I'm like, what?
Of course.
It's not valid? That doesn't make any sense. So I was trying to figure out how exactly to log in. Couldn't do it. Tried every combination of passwords and usernames I knew. Couldn't do it. So I'm like, fuck it. Reset password. No emails. Nothing. When I try to reset it to the email address, which I'm almost 100% convinced that account used to be under, it says not a valid email address. So like, this is weird. So, all right, I've got to go to Sony support then. So I go to Sony support, and I come across a fellow who's like, hi, I am German. And it was like, that's my name. That's his actual name. Like, he's not actually German. He's speaking English, but for some reason his username is German.
Is German?
German, yes. Which
Germain, maybe? Germain?
No, I'm pretty sure they spelled it German. I can double check. I actually took a screenshot of this conversation because he was colossally useless. So
they were like, my name's German.
What the hell was that alarm going off there? That was strange. Huh. Did anyone else hear an alarm? No?
No.
Am I hallucinating?
Making German jokes.
Yeah. So his name was German. And it's like, hi, how can I help you today? Blah, blah, blah. And, I gave him the information. It's like, no, this email is not valid. Do you have the serial number of the console you created this account on? Like, that was 10 years ago. No, I don't. Because we don't have that PlayStation anymore. So I was like, okay. So I gave him the one from our current PS3, because I'm like, that's the oldest console I've got that I still have. It's like, no, that won't help either. It's like, do you know what the payment method associated with your account was? I'm like, yeah, I do, because I have in my email right here, associated with that email address, which you say is invalid, a bunch of receipts for PlayStation Network, which is like Helldivers and all this other stuff from last year that I bought. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can give you those numbers because they're right here in front of me. So I give him the numbers. And his response is, unfortunately, we need to be professional and make sure our accounts are secure by verifying ownership. If there are no other questions, I will disconnect this chat. I'm like, what? I just gave you the card numbers, I just gave you the order numbers and the exact dates and amounts that were spent. I just gave you that. And he's like, I'm sorry, but I will disconnect the chat now. Have a great day. Thanks for chatting with us at the end of the chat. This was after 20 minutes of waiting in queue.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yep. And I was like, what the shit? And like, I was hoping it would bring up a survey, so I give this guy all one of the fucking ones and say, let me speak to your fucking manager. So that doesn't help. So I go back in another queue for 20 minutes. I eventually get someone who can actually help me. And I explained to her what just happened. He's like, whoa, okay, let me see what I can do. And he found what it was. For some reason, they'd managed to reset our email address back to the original email address of the account, which was one that we didn't even know we still had. Like, we hadn't used this email address in like 6 years. But we were able to get back into that email, get a password reset to that, reset the account, get access to it again, and then change it back to what it was. So it's like, German, if you're out there, go fuck yourself. You are terrible at your job. Holy shit.
Sorry,
if I could have given you a
professional. Goodbye.
It's like, yeah, if I could give you a 1 star and shout at you, I would. Because you were shit. But the other guy, who I think was Emil or whatever, you're awesome. Thank you. So yeah, that was my. And here's the cherry on top of the story, because you're wondering what is the fuck has this got to do with anything that Jesse just said. Alienation isn't out yet.
I figured that was going to be the punchline.
Yeah.
It was like
After
all of
over
this
an hour of that, Alienation
isn't
isn't
out.
fucking even out yet anyway, so I can't buy it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Maybe German knew, and he was like, "There's just don't worry yourself about this."
Yeah, I'm gonna disconnect the call. I'm gonna be a professional. Yeah, my last bit of technical support issues was with fucking Hamachi.
Oh my.
Yeah, because we were trying. I haven't used Hamachi in.
Oh god, that means in like 8 years. We used to play Warcraft 3, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was trying to use it. There's a program called Drawpile that allows multiple people to all draw on the same canvas together. And so my animator Danny and I were going to use Drawpile to like doodle on the same canvas as part of a stream, because it was the last day that we were selling the shirt. And he was like, yeah, the only way I know how to do it is with Hamachi. And I was like, all right, we'll use Hamachi. That's fine. So Hamachi now makes it so that you have to associate it with an account. You can't just like use it as a guest account anymore. So I was like, that's fine. I have a Hamachi account. So I log in and it's like, cool, that's definitely your email address and password, but we're going to send you an email, like a verification email, since we've changed everything over. And I was like, cool. Email just like never shows up ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I tried putting in a different password. Email shows up to tell me somebody tried to log into your account with the wrong password. That email shows up, but the email that allows me to actually use Hamachi never shows up. So I can't even use their fucking program. And I was ranting about this on my stream, and there's a girl who's in my chat fairly often who was like, I work for Hamachi and I'm so sorry. I was like, oh no. And so I'm like, this piece of shit program, fuck. She's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you did. I think the better program is probably Tungle for that. Hamachi is
Tungle?
Tungle, yeah, Tungle, yeah.
Tungle?
Tungle. Is it Tunnengle, I think? Yeah.
Tunnengle?
That's what it is.
I think it's Tungle.
Yeah, there it is. The Global LAN Gaming Network.
Yeah, that one's kind of like surpassed Hamachi, I think. Hamachi has been shitty for a long time. I think it got bought by a company and then it got turned to shit. I don't know what happened with it. Used to be good.
God damn it, Krender. Two
Krender
golden legendaries in a row.
Fuck that guy. Fuck him. Screw
What a
him. I'm going to
piece of
single one of
shit.
those yet. I want to get a golden Deathwing, like, Lord of Dragons or whatever, because that is probably amazing. That's the single best piece of art in the expansion, in my opinion.
How many new cards are there to get?
It's got like 150, I think. But as usual, it's like, you get all the cards really fast, and then you've got to, like, get your legendaries probably by dusting everything else or whatever.
Right.
So, there's that, yeah. But yeah, we're back from that. That was good. We had a very fun Game of Thrones and Donkey viewing party, which you missed out on.
I did miss out on that, yeah.
You did, yep. We all gathered at our hotel and watched Game of Thrones.
We just wanted to be part of Vape Nation.
We were part, yeah.
Vape Nation.
Everyone got to watch the Vape Nation video that didn't understand what the fuck was going on. So we did that. And because what we were doing is we weren't 100% sure whether or not Game of Thrones would be on the HBO Now service at the same time as it was going live on HBO. And the answer is no, it wasn't. But a few sites had said it would be, and a few sites said it won't. So like, okay, fuck. Right, so we're eating pizza, just like chilling. It's like, so I load up the YouTube app on the Amazon Fire TV stick, which, by the fucking way, is the fucking best hotel gadget ever.
Yeah.
It's like, turn any shitty hotel TV into something that watches Netflix and Hulu and everything. Just plug it in, and you get the little voice remote, and you just go. So it's great.
I've always wondered if, because I have a Google Chromecast.
Chromecast? Yeah, that would do it.
And I'm wondering which one would be easier.
I'm not sure. I mean, what I will say is that that one comes with the remote, and it's got the voice thing, which sometimes
nice.
works.
Alexa!
Yep. Alexa, play Donkey's videos, which it failed to do. But so we got bored before that, so we just loaded up YouTube. It's like, all right, who should we watch who's funny? So we watched Vape Nation, and then we watched him do the H3 do the Gamer Gunk video, which was funny, and then we watched Donkey play Dark Souls for a while, which was fucking hilarious.
I also believe that you had fine.
Oh God, yes, that was after Game of Thrones, where Jesse insisted that we watch the fucking 28-minute
I was
kazoo
surprised
video.
no one had seen it yet. I was like, you need to watch all of this.
Did you show them? I assume you showed them the trap version.
Yeah, we've seen the trap version. Yeah.
Of course, good.
Yeah. So we watched. I don't think we got to the end of it, but we watched a lot of it.
I made them watch up to the part where the little boy asks you to go to his secret. He's like, "Hey, I want to tell you." He asks you to go to the little private area. After the man's like, "I'm the spirit of mischief" or whatever. It's like, "Whoa, yes."
The whole video is such a creep fest.
It's really. It's the awkward silences that get me on that video.
Oh,
it's like, what? Please talk. Like, fill this silence, fill this void with something meaningful. But oh god, so there's a little vine you can find on Krendor's Twitter of us all. Well, me, I'm not. My head is in my hands of waving our goddamn flashlights around. Yeah, that was our exciting party. I don't think we didn't go to too many. I mean, I went to no parties at all because I fucking hate PAX parties. But I know you went to the Twitch party, Dodger. How was that?
I did. It was fun. It was fun because that building is like it's one of those. It's like a TARDIS. You walk in and you're like, okay, so here's the room, and then somebody's like, oh, but there's a back room, and then you go into the back room and you're like, oh, okay, so there's like 2 rooms, and then somebody else is like, but have you seen the billiards room? And you're like, what?
The billiard room? Is this fucking
like
Cluedo?
It like there's stairs hidden somewhere. It's weird. That place goes on forever. So like anytime you're in one room and then more and more people keep filtering in, you can be like, is there an even further back room? Oh, there is. Oh, great. And then you go there.
Is Colonel Mustard hiding in the billiard room with the candlestick? I have to ask.
Always. I was just excited that there was food.
Yes.
So, because I was starving and I was like, they never had food at these things, but they had food. It was great.
That is rare.
I can't go to Twitch parties.
Why not?
Everyone there's like 12 years old, and I feel
yeah.
fucking old. I swear to God, every time I'm like, yeah, let's do this, I walk in, I'm like, well, I'm
exhausted.
Yeah, like everyone here is like barely 17. They're like, yeah, alcohol. And I'm like,
it's like, 1, you shouldn't be having this. 2,
fuck.
No, you're obnoxious.
Yeah. Clearly they're old enough to drink, but they all are like the most hyper, like, oh.
Yeah. That's like
when you go to the back room, Jesse. That's when you go to the back room.
Yeah, that's where you find the real streamers that are just lazy and want to chill.
Streamers start swinging from Ethernet cables. No names. That's when you go to a different room.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Can't do it. Can't do parties anymore. Every time I go to, I went to the Gearbox party because people wanted to go and I was with people, so
yeah, you were peer pressured into. Wasn't it after Fogo de Chao?
I was
totally
peer
pressured into that one. Yeah, and it was like I wanted to play the game, but there was a 40-minute demo, so I didn't get to so I wasn't playing video games.
Wait, what? The Gearbox wasn't that Battleborn? Can you just play it at home?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I was like, I want to play. Look, I was trying to avoid not doing anything.
Okay. You want to avoid having to talk to people. I understand. Yeah.
Yes, and so then that was 40 minutes, and there was like a line of like 12 people. So I was like, all right, well, that's longer than I'm willing to stay. And then, I sat around and just talked. And I was like, shit, I can do that at home.
Yes.
So yeah, and it was a real treat, And then I went to bed.
Yeah, that's like pretty much it.
I think this is my last convention until Anime Expo, and I'm really jazzed about that. Like, PAX East was really fun, but I am jazzed to just hang until Anime Expo.
I've got MomoCon in a few weeks down in Atlanta. I think that's going to be fun.
Momo PeachCon? What's PeachCon? What is that?
What? I didn't say PeachCon.
Because Momo is peach in Japanese.
Oh, is that why they call it that?
Are you going to an anime convention? Are you going to PeachCon?
No, it's not an anime convention. There is some anime at it, but it's Atlanta, Georgia Animation, Gaming, and Comic Con, basically. MomoCon. Now, I had no idea why it was called MomoCon. I now understand. And yes, there is a peach in the logo. That does make sense. Okay, there you go.
But yeah,
they were inviting various people to do panels. So they've got animation guys, some anime voice actors. I know Matt Mercer as Steve Blum are going to be there. Video games guests, so that's Steve Blum again, and Nolan North. And then online personalities is apparently what we are. So Nostalgia Critics there, DJ Wheat's there, Little Kurobo's there, I'm there, Mathis is there, Super Best Friends there, and a few others. So I think I'm just there to do 2 panels and just chill.
My badge this year at PAX was like a totally new kind of badge.
You mean con?
The content creator badge.
Creator badge?
It was so weird.
I got a media pass, and I'm very glad I did, because apparently content creator badge caused problems for some people for access.
Well, yeah, because the enforcers don't know what it means, because it's like a totally new badge and it's not clear like where you're supposed to be able to go or what you're supposed to be able to do. So like we were told, I was handed this badge and I was like, what is this? Like, what can I do with this badge that's different from just a normal badge? And they're like, oh, well, you should be able to treat it like a media badge. You just can't use the media rooms because, you know, they're not expecting
Yeah,
you to,
they deliberately kept content creators out of the media room, which is very odd because if you're an actual content creator creating content, you do need access to the media room to upload things.
That's what I was saying, because I was like, well, I get that you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, these aren't people who are going to be writing articles right now. But it's like, but you would be working on stuff if you're making videos.
Yeah, I mean, people realize you can actually do that.
I had the exact opposite experience. It was great for me. Content, the con badge, when I had it going through the indie area, I was literally stopped every 5 minutes by devs like, here's a code. Play our game when you get home. I was like, so I don't have to stand in line? I love you so much. Yes, it was the best. And it saved a ton of time because media was like, all right, here's my appointment. And content was like, here, you can play this at home. And I have like...
Yeah, I mean, I got that as well. It's just that I happened to set the appointments up anyway. So, I mean, it's like, I did a little round on the 3rd day of like, hey guys, I'm sorry I couldn't fit you on the schedule because we were jammed in like 2 weeks ago. So can you give me a build? And then they just give me a build. But I know this year getting a media badge was trickier. Like they said they'd literally revoke your media badge if you weren't creating... Like, if you weren't seen to be actually creating meaningful content. It's like, you can't have a media badge if all you do is tour the floor and then do an end-of-day roundup, like, video or article. Like, you had to actually... Yeah, basically, they said...
working constantly.
Yeah, they're going to actually be checking, apparently, based on what you did this year as to whether or not to give you that badge next year based on how much content you made. Because apparently too many people have been applying for media that are not fucking media at all and just said, oh, I'll do stuff, and then just do like a 2-minute end of PAX roundup video, and that's how they got their media badge. So apparently they've been cracking.
Pretty cool. Did some stuff on the show floor.
They've been cracking down on that.
Friends had some drinks, played a game, and
shout out to Oculus and DX Racer.
Shout out to Rift for sending me out here.
Shout out to Gunner Glasses. They protected me from Oculus Pink Eye.
Yeah, sounds about right. I mean, and I'm fine with them doing that. I don't know if media got you through the Skybridge entrance, which is supposed to be exhibitors only, but it did for us, which was great because on day 2 and 3 it was nice and easy.
I literally must have like the face that
you've got the touch, you've got the power.
Like, people must not give a shit. I must be the least threatening human being that ever like. Every time I'd walk in, we walked in the exhibitor entrance. They're just like, yeah, come on in, whatever. I was like, all right.
I was able to do that with my badge.
Nice.
Too.
There you go.
Cool with that.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you can get the badge, then do it. You know, there was really no benefit to media entrance other than that you got that hour on day 1 before everyone else came in, and that was it. You know, which gave me enough time to play Elder Scrolls, which is good.
That first hour, usually everyone's set up. Nope. I couldn't get anything done because most of the places I wanted to go visit, they were like, we're still
not ready yet. Yeah.
I was like, oh, all right then.
Yeah, I hit up Bethesda and one other thing during the media hour that I wasn't planning on doing, so that was good. And that was before all of the lines came in, because I didn't have a Bethesda appointment, but I just got to walk right in and play Elder Scrolls Legends, which was actually pretty cool. Did you get? Yeah. Jesse, did you play that?
I got to watch a dude play because the line was ridiculous. By the time I got there, I was like, well, I guess I'll watch him.
I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm just going to glance over somebody's shoulder.
Yeah, I could go play the demo, but or not the demo, but like the tutorial. But I was like, I don't know. I'm just gonna watch a dude play. So I just watched the guy play instead.
What
It
was your
looked
impression
cool.
of that?
I mean, it looked like a cool game. Out of all the games that I was like, oh boy, here we go, another Hearthstone. It's the least Hearthstone-y.
It's
Game
it's
that I
not
saw
that
there.
Hearthstone-y actually at all.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Hearthstone at all, which is
No,
nice.
it doesn't. I got to play a good amount of it. I've got the problem is like it's weird because the game looks really good and very well polished, but they weren't allowing capture. It's like we'll get B-Reel to you. So apparently I'm getting B-Reel today supposedly, so I can actually make my video. Hopefully they do that. But I can tell you what I played of it. I played like a few matches and I went through the tutorial. And the immediate thing that I noticed, which is completely different to something like Hearthstone, is that the game has 2 lanes. So it's got a left lane and a right lane, and you play cards in either the left lane or the right lane. And if you play a card in the left lane, it can only hit other cards that are in the left lane.
Interesting.
So you've got to worry. So if you pile all these, I think AoEs probably work the same way as well. They only affect one lane or the other. So if you pile too many cards into one lane, they can get AoE'd. But if you don't have enough cards in one lane, someone can like rush the cards onto that lane. It's like, oh, I've got 4 dudes, I'm going to attack, and you only have 1 dude to defend. You're fucked, and all that kind of thing. That's the major difference in terms of mechanics. There's also a nice little feature where you can take an item into the match. In the case of the demo, they give you a mana potion, which can be used up to 3 times. And what that'll do is you use it, and it temporarily gives you +1 mana for that turn. So what you can do is you can play, if you get like stuck and like, shit, I have not got a card in my hand that I can afford, you can use one of your mana potions, which will give you a temporary buff, and then you might be able to play a card that turn. So it keeps the pace going, which is good. I enjoyed that a lot. And there was a couple of other mechanics. There's this rune mechanic. So every 5 damage you take, it destroys one of your runes or something. And this is a kind of weird one. And when it happens, it draws a card. Now, if that card on it says Prophecy on it, you get to play that card for free. So it's like a catch-up mechanic. It was really... It took me a while to, like, kind of get a gist of what that was. And it was still a little bit unclear. But I think that the point is to prevent your opponent from snowballing you really hard. And also to give you a card draw mechanic. And again, if you draw it and it says Prophecy, then you get to play it for free. So that's a major tempo swing back in your favor. Yeah, I mean, that's basically how it works. Otherwise, it's kind of like Hearthstone. You get a mana every turn and all that kind of thing. You play cards. You can attack minions or you can attack face. You can't attack if they have guard. You know, same thing like Taunt, but of course it's based on the lane. So if you have a guy with guard in the right lane, but your dude's on the left lane, then you can just get past him, no problem. There's also the Khajiit. All of the Khajiit have a pilfer mechanic, so they all steal. Right. So every time you hit if you hit an enemy with a card that says pilfer on it, you gain an effect. So I had one that's like, you hit the enemy, you get +3/+3 stats, or you hit the enemy and you steal a mana crystal or whatever. So I thought that was neat. Yeah, it is really powerful. I think they're mostly designed to let you like sneak through the other lane. Basically, if the enemy over defends one lane, then you put a Khajiit through the other and steal from them, which I thought was kind of neat. I'll also say that it's a very, very nicely presented game. The art's really good, and the spell effects are better than Hearthstone, actually by a significant margin. We used a fireball effect, and it just, because the back is like a scroll, Elder Scrolls, obviously, it just burnt the scroll, like, underneath the cards and everything. It's like, that's really good. So, I actually enjoyed it. I'm not big onto the theme, because I'm not hugely into Elder Scrolls, but I think as a card game, it's pretty fun, actually. I think it's got quite a bit going for it. So, we'll see how it goes.
Because Elder Scrolls Online did not do very well. So I was like, if their card game also doesn't do very well or isn't very interesting, they're so hosed.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what your like hands-on like actual video will like be, even though you aren't like showing footage that you played, because I just want to go look up more information on, like, you were talking about the spells, because I want to see what heroes you could be, right?
Yeah.
Because I actually kind of like the lore of Elder Scrolls, so I want to see who you could be. And like the first thing literally that pops up is like, 1, it's not a Hearthstone killer. 2, it's brown, clunky, and a cash-in. I'm like, damn!
That's not in any way true. Like, I don't know which jackass wrote that, but that's not true at all. You know,
That's the first two things I see. I'm like,
is that just a YouTube comment, or did some journo actually write that shit?
no, I typed in Elder Scrolls card game, and Destructoid is the first one that says Legends is a brown clunky cash-in of a card.
All right,
game.
well, I mean, Destructoid literally have no talent on their staff anywhere, so that's probably got something to do with it. I mean, they are a bunch of fucking idiots, so, you know, they'll no doubt shut down within the next year, and we'll all be happier for it. But outside of that, like, it's not in any way a cash-in at all. It's not that similar to Hearthstone. It's clearly got a lot of different mechanics, you know, and it's got great card art. It's like, it's brown, yeah, because the background is paper. Of course, it's brown.
Oh, here's the best part. So I'm looking through these videos now. Finally, everyone commenting, all these articles. Sorry, all these articles. All the written articles are literally referring to the video, not actual gameplay. So all these people just saw a YouTube video and were like, this looks like garbage.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, welcome to the internet. You know, there's a reason we have our jobs and those people don't have our jobs, because we know what the fuck we're talking about, and they bitch based on watching a 90-second YouTube video, you know? We get to go to PAX to play those games, and then we can tell you whether or not they're any good, as opposed to judge it by some fucking little trailer. But it's like, no, if you look at that card art and tell me that that's brown and dull, fuck you. Like, there's no way that's even right. You see what you got me do? You've got me defending Elder Scrolls. I don't even like Elder Scrolls, and you're still wrong.
Fuck off.
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, you know, this card art right here, let me just up the resolution here so it'll look a little better for you. This is nice card art. Like, this is good card art. You can see all of the stuff right here. I was like, all right, and you get to pick a class, which have these different abilities and things like that. And it's like, oh, it's brown. Yeah, the background is brown. Literally everything else isn't. You know? So it's like, come on, fuck you. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure places like Destructo just write that shit to get clicks these days, because nobody gives a fuck about their opinion otherwise. But hey, there you go. Yeah, so I liked it. I'll come up with a video in the next few days. You know, it's ultimately the problem with like making a card game at the moment is that Hearthstone is so big that actually getting any people to play another game at all is difficult.
Right.
So we'll see, because there's so many of them. Fuck, like the RuneScape card game is in open beta right now. Force was telling me, although he was sponsored to, that it's actually good. It's like really unique. I did watch someone stream it. I think it was either Crip or someone was streaming it, and you see your opponent across the table, which I thought was pretty cool, in this constant pose of I was like, all right. That's kind of neat. Yeah, so
it's not distracting? That seems like it would be.
Kinda. I mean, they've gone down the whole, we want to make it look like an actual game that you would play in the MMO thing. Like, we want to go for the immersion factor, so there was an element of that. Apparently, there's also an element of strategy and things involved in it, as opposed to just playing cards. So, I'm going to try it at some point. Like, I don't give a fuck about RuneScape, but I do care about interesting games. But again, will that game even survive? Hex just came out. Feria is coming out. Duelist just came out of beta.
Star Wars one's coming, which is going to try and...
Oh, there's a Star Wars one as well? Fucking hell. Jesus.
Yeah, EA last year was like, the Star Wars card game.
Oh, no. If that's anything like Galaxy of Heroes, that's going to be a total ripoff.
Probably. But Star Wars.
But it's Star Wars TV.
Which, you know, I just hope it's not a Hearthstone clone. You know, I don't want to play another Hearthstone game. You know, I want to play something that's different.
Well, it seems like, at least based on, you know, the two that we've talked about today, Legends and the RuneScape one, it seems like at least companies aren't trying to literally just make Hearthstone. Right? They're saying, oh, people want card games, so let's make a card game, but let's try to make it our card game. You know? So I have to appreciate that, even though there's going to be such an influx that there's no way you could play them all. But...
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's similar to playing like a League of Legends style game as well. Once you've started investing money in your account, you don't want to move to a different game for obvious reasons. And card games are always going to require you to pay money to get the cards, because it's a collectible card game. It's in the fucking name. Yeah. But I feel like Hearthstone maybe as a gateway drug to CCGs. Like, I think if you could start playing Hearthstone, you can have kind of fun with it, and then you can move on to a different product that's maybe a bit more advanced and find the one that you really like. Because I'm not 100% convinced that many people actually like Hearthstone. They just feel obliged to play it.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's that. I would say that as somebody who's not very good at CCGs, I think it's more like, Oh man, it's kind of mindless in a way that's satisfying, where you can play it and the game does everything for you, and it's simple enough where you're not like overthinking it most of the time, if that makes sense.
Well, that's why you're not good at it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is like
I'm with you though. Like,
yeah,
I think you're right.
I don't necessarily think that like everybody who's playing Hearthstone right now is going to be like, God, I just wish that there was one that was a little more complicated, because I don't want one that's more complicated.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there are definitely some
basic one.
Yeah, some people get to like that level and it's like, okay, this is like as complex as I want my card game to be. I guess the same as people that play like the Pokemon card game or anything. That's not a very complicated card game, but it's the theme that they like and it's the mechanics they like. It's like, I don't feel the need to go beyond this. And then there's other people who are like, well, everyone's playing Hearthstone and I've got cards, so it's like I'm playing Hearthstone, but I'd rather be playing something better than this.
Yeah.
It's just maybe there isn't an option right now because like Magic the Gathering has a terrible fucking client on PC or whatever. You know, so maybe you want to play Hex or something else instead. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know if this game's going to do all that well, but I will say that the matches I played of Elder Scrolls Legends were pretty cool, and I had fun with it, and I think it's got enough unique mechanics to make it stand out without it being completely alien. It was just that rune mechanic that was really strange, because it was very, very much like, how do I earn runes? Oh, you lose health to get them. What? That's counterintuitive.
Oh, yeah.
I do not understand how that works at all. Yeah, you've got to treat it as a catch-up mechanic, basically. Yeah, so I played that. Jesse, what else did you play? Because we played so much stuff that we didn't talk about on the podcast.
Man, that's a great question.
It is.
I played. Oh, fuck. Can't remember what I talked about on the podcast.
You talked about Outlast.
Needless to say, the last 3 days have been a wild
blitz.
mess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the indie ones I played so I can give them a little bit of a shout out. I talked about We Happy Few, so that's a thing I played and I like.
Mm-hmm.
I know, what else did I talk about? I don't look.
Did you not make a list of the stuff that you played?
Honestly, I because Saturday and Sunday was like panel signing, and
Yeah.
I like ran to stuff in between, and so I definitely did not make a list. No, what I hoped was, and here's something that I took away from this year's PAX. What I hoped was is that something would really stand out to me, as like really catch my attention, and everything was good, but nothing this year, even AAA stuff, nothing this year really was like, this is it, this is my shit, this is what's gonna get me.
Did you not get to play Pyre?
That's the one thing I didn't get to play.
I didn't get to play Pyre either.
That would have probably been that game you were looking for, because
like,
that was mind-blowing.
Everything was good. Everything was good, but it wasn't like so, mind-blowing that it will stick with me forever. I mean, I liked some of the mechanics in Lawbreakers, but also I thought some of it was, I was like, that's super fucking broken, or like that doesn't work right.
Well, what were the things that you found broken in that? Because I played Lawbreakers as well.
Well, if it's any indication, by the end of our match, it's either 5-on-5 or 6-on-6. I can't remember how many it is, but by the end of our match, everyone but 2 people was the person with the vibro blade and the hook.
Okay.
Everyone has switched over to that because that character was like murdering everyone, and so I spent the entire time trying to find counters to that character. And
I found Kronos was an excellent counter to her.
Yeah, the only counter is the big, super slow guy with the Tesla beam.
Yeah.
And that's the only counter. And so that's the only thing I could play the entire time, because it was just like, either I play that character with the rest of them, or I just play this guy. And so it was like, it's a super fun game, but there's a lot of stuff in there. I was like, all right, well, this is clearly under development.
It needs more characters. Yeah, they only had 4 characters available. Do you think it was because of her movement mechanic that everyone switched to her? Because that map, because it was the Grand Canyon map, and you could swing around the outside of the map using the grappling hook, and she was the only character that could do that. And it almost made me think that was why everyone was playing her.
Well, she could attack from any direction. Like, all the other characters were limited by where they could attack within buildings. She could come from above you, from the side, from like any direction. So she was always she was everywhere, and that's really, really useful in a game like that. And meanwhile, this guy, it's on the bad guys, it was like the big electric tube, but on the good guys, it was a woman. no matter what you're just slow. You're lumbering very slowly. You have a rocket launcher. That the rocket launcher pretty ineffective. I just never.
I was
used it.
murdering people with it, but
I like every time I shot, I was like, all right, do I shoot at them? Do I shoot at the ground? Do I shoot? Where is the effective rocket launch position? I just gave up and only used the Tesla thing and started murdering people. It was like I was destroying with that Tesla can. I was like, I don't even need to use this rocket launcher. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you need to relearn in that game. That's very different than, say, if you're playing like Overwatch, for example, since we've all been playing that.
Yeah, the
like,
low gravity areas were what surprised me. Like, it's I think the way that it works, and I'd have to look at the footage again, is that you go through certain, like, doorways, kind of force fields, and it gives you a temporary low gravity effect. So, in that area, most people are fighting in the air, as opposed to anything else.
It's the exact opposite.
Okay.
The portals are what keep the like the whole world. The whole premise of this is that the gravity is just effed up.
Fucked.
And so
yeah.
when you go outside, that's when the gravity is really low. That's
all right.
And when you're inside, that's when gravity returns to normal. And that's
okay.
Those gateways are.
All right,
and
that makes
like,
sense now.
The middle area was an outside area, so there's like a little, I don't know if it was like a shrine or what it was in the middle, but you could like flip and jump and around. So even my big guy was like in the air, and that's when I would use my like electricity Emperor Palpatine ability.
Unlimited power, yeah.
Fly around and take it. It was so cool.
I love that.
That was really, really cool. But yeah, like it was one of those things where all the things that like at the end of it, the culmination, I was like, there's some really cool stuff in this game. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, I want to see what the completed version looks like, because it's clearly not done yet. But that's fine. Let's see what it looks like. It wasn't like I think my expectation leaving there was like, oh, this game's gonna blow me away, and I was like, all right, that was good.
It was good.
And I think I think that's what I had with most of the games. I was like, all right, let's see what you got. And every game was like, oh, that was really good, but none of them were like, oh shit, this is the one.
Game
this is the one I'm
changer.
playing forever. Yeah, and I just never found that. And I had the exact same thing last time at last PAX East. It was like, all right, let's see some cool indie stuff, and all of it was good. And I walked away like, all right, cool. I'm very excited for this year. But none of it was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be what changes gaming. And you noticed over the last year, some of the big games that really blew up in the gaming culture weren't at PAX and stuff like that. They just came out of nowhere. They were just like, here's this weird game that we created. Here you go.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's definitely interesting to see what role PAX has with gaming and indie games in the future. So I'm very interested to see what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I would say there were definitely games where I played the demo and I was like, I really want to see what this game is like when I can just sit down and play it, you know, like really play it. I felt that way about, is it called Katana Zero?
Yeah, I just put my video out on that,
Okay,
and
so
I felt exactly the same way. So I want to see what happens when you get more abilities and more weapons and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, because you got to play like a couple rounds of that game, right? So
Yes.
for everybody watching, like Katana Zero is this game where you play, it's kind of like Hotline Miami, but you're a samurai and you can slow down time.
Yep.
So, yeah, you have like these conversations with people that can affect the game later, but most of it is just you go into a section of a building and then you murder everybody in that section, and then the game's like, all right, now you can proceed.
Did you piss off the hotel clerk with the conversation?
No, I didn't.
I did. Apparently that affects the game. So there's a... just to expand on the idea of the conversation. So it has a conversation system. It's kind of like Telltale's. So it's like there's a timer on it, but you have a period of time where you can interrupt the conversation. And if you do that, the person gets madder and madder at you for it. If you're on the phone, you can literally just hang up on somebody. One, it's a nice way of just skipping through dialogue. And two, it actually affects the gameplay. So apparently, because I pissed off the hotel clerk as much as I did, that affected the level after that. So that's what the developer told me.
Yeah. So both for the way that both Sam and I did that level, it wound up like working in our favor at the end of that whole level. So like at the beginning, you had an opportunity to have a conversation, and at the end, the conversation came back around, and we were like, oh, thank God. Wound up doing it right.
Yeah, I have a feeling I got
right,
screwed up
but-
because I did it wrong, actually. I'm pretty sure it's the end of the video where I get completely fucked at the end of that level because of that. So that
yeah,
was
but it's
neat.
that game. Yeah, that game is pretty fun. It's
Very fun.
But it's,
Yeah.
but it's definitely the sort of game where I played through the two levels that they let you play, and I was like, I want to just like sit and play this, but you know I can't, and it's not coming out until 2017, I think. So.
They updated the release date to 2016 on their website, so we'll see what they do with that. But I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. There were some interesting ideas. It's a very strange kind of narrative conceit, but when you play the game, you're not technically doing the level. You're planning it in your mind somehow, which is some explanation of why there's a timer on each level, because you can only remember a certain amount of stuff. Then you see CCTV footage of what you ended up doing. And you might think, well, how does that make a difference? Well, technically, in terms of the gameplay, it doesn't. But apparently, it's possible, based on how many of the time-stopping drugs you take and things like that, what can happen in the level on the CCTV camera is completely different to what you planned. So the dev was telling me that, like, you basically can lose your mind during the game, and a mission that you thought was killing a bunch of gangsters, you actually just killed a bunch of innocent people, and you see that on the CCTV after the
That's
level,
so cool.
which is fucking crazy. I don't know what's going on with that. It wasn't demonstrated in the demo that we were given, but I want to know, because I want to see if the narrative changes significantly as you go through, and what you actually think you did is not what you really did.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Another game that I played the demo of and I just really wanted to sit and play it for a while is Y2K, a postmodern RPG.
Y2K, a postmodern RPG.
Yes.
I don't know. Hold on, I have the little brochure of it.
There's a okay.
That's the game that people were like, who's that character look like? And I was like, not me, guys. Not me at all.
Oh, you mean this Jesse Cox looking motherfucker? This guy? This Jesse Cox guy?
Every time we were by there, they were just like, who's this guy? I'm like, not me.
The game, I guess it takes place in 1999. That's the name. And you're in a town where a girl has gone missing, and you believe that she's been sucked into another world, I think. And so,
I mean, that would be the first assumption that I would make if someone went
right.
missing,
Yeah, that's what I would assume.
No doubt.
And so the game, like, it's turn-based, but in order for you to land your attacks, you have to do almost like WarioWare style mini games, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
And I don't know, I think that it affects whether or not you critically hit as well.
Okay.
So when you go to do an ability, depending on what character you are and what your weapon is, it'll have you do like a short mini game to see whether or not you actually connect and make the hit. Which I thought was kind of a cool idea. At first, when they were talking to me,
what the fuck is going on in this trailer? I'm sorry, I'm watching the trailer for this game. It's just like, this is bonkers.
It's fucking weird, yeah. But I don't know. I really liked it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is Jesse Cox. Holy shit.
Isn't it?
Look at that. That is him. That's him.
Jesse Cox. He fights with records. He throws records at people.
Of course he does.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a hipster. It's just a hipster.
Yeah.
Well, this librarian has a talking bird. All right.
So that was definitely a game where I sat and played the demo, and I was like, I want to play more of this. Jesse,
Holy shit! I'm watching the record throwing minigame. That's neat.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was another RPG. Was it Shadow Hearts that did a bunch of mini games to attack as well? But these are all like crazy mini games that are themed to the character.
Yeah,
Someone's
totally.
unrolling a roll of film, and you've got to do like an Undertale sort of hit the line thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of neat. I like that.
Yeah.
Damn you, chat. Damn.
Jesse Hipster Simulators. Yeah, that's very Super Mario RPG as well, isn't it? Because that had a kind
Absolutely.
of timing-based attacks.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. All right. I never got a chance to see that. This is what's so cool. Like, I looked at so many fucking games there, and I saw even more as I passed. And even then, there's a bunch of games I didn't get a chance to even look at. You know, so
There were so many indie games this year. yeah, it's great. I love the fact that PAX is very oriented to indie developers and being
It's
like,
mostly indie games now.
yeah.
Taxes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like the indies take over a huge amount of it now. The mega booth is very good, and then they have the mini booth and PAX Rising, which is the very small area where it's just one demo machine per game. And then around that, around the outside, people have got their own booths anyway. So they've got like small booths with like 3 or 4 machines, and the larger indies like Necropolis can afford like a bigger setup, so they did that. Speaking
How
of
did you feel about Necropolis?
So I think it's pretty good, honestly. The issue that I have with Necropolis is that it's designed to make me hate it. Because
it has permadeath?
It has
or...
permadeath, yeah. It's like
Okay.
it's Dark Souls with Zelda, and obviously the dungeon delving aspect. It's called a diabolical dungeon delve. It has a very cool sense of humor, which I didn't expect from that game. Because when I looked at the screenshots, like, all right, this looks like, the aesthetic is very kind of flat-shaded, polygon-esque. It looks great. But I thought, oh, this is going to be super serious.
It almost gives you, like, darker Journey feels.
It does, yeah.
How it looks.
Yeah, definitely, you're right. You're definitely right on that one. But the thing is, it does have permadeath. So when you die, you get fucked. And it's got survival mechanics, like, as you use attacks, you get more and more exhausted. And that exhaustion is permanent until you eat food to basically regenerate. That regenerates a bit of your health, but it also regenerates a stamina meter. And your stamina meter kind of has a bit that's reserved, and it gets bigger and bigger the more special attacks you do. So you can't keep just spamming your special attack, because you will burn out of stamina, and that stamina does not recover unless you eat. So that's a big deal. The game is, I mean, it's also just very hard. Like, there's a lot of enemies. There are a bunch of traps. It has an identification system. So, like old school RPGs, but like you can literally drink a potion or use a scroll that you don't know what it is, and it could be really bad. So I was in a big fight on level 2. It was really bad. I was about to die. So I picked up a potion on the ground. It didn't tell me what it was. Like, this sure looks like a magic potion. Okay, drink it. Paralyzed, 30 seconds, dead.
No!
Yeah, dicks. Just, it has that roguelite element to it. There are scrolls of identify and things like that available. What I did like about that game is that every enemy drops their weapon. So you can
pick up their weapons.
Yeah, you can pick up their weapons, and it doesn't tell you what the stats on them are. You kind of got to learn which weapon is for you. It gives you a tier rating, so it's like tier 0, tier 1, tier 2 weapons, but it doesn't tell you exactly how good they are. So you have to pick the weapon up, use it, and then figure out if you want to keep it. So that's a cool element. And again, the sense of humor is awesome. This is like, you're trying to serve this sort of god, who is this giant pyramid with a big eye, who's telling you to do a bunch of stupid quests for his own amusement. One of them is kill all the heretical pottery, which is you got to break 20 pots or whatever. And if you do enough of it, it gives you a favor token, which is, I think, a permanent upgrade for your character. So even when your character dies, the favor, I think, continues. So that's how you progress your character, is do those quests, get the favors, and then you unlock a bunch of passive bonuses and things.
Yeah, because the big confusion that I have, since it's up to 4 players, I believe.
Yeah, it's got 4-player drop-in, drop-out co-op.
Yeah, so like, if I were to die, I could definitely sync up and play with my friends who have like a higher level character with my level 1, but like, how does that balance out? And I think it is with favor.
Yes, that's how you do it. It's still really fucking hard though, and it can get very frustrating when you die, no doubt about that, because you lose all your gear, you have to start again. But the thing that it's got over, because people are probably asking, well, why not just play Dark Souls? Well, because the levels are procedurally generated. Yeah. And it's a full 3D adventure. So you're not going through, the cool thing about you dying and having to run back is you're not going through the same areas every time. You're getting a different dungeon every time you go down there. So that's why you keep playing it. That's why you would play it instead of Dark Souls. The main problem I've got with it, and this is something that looks like they're going to add, they said, is that it doesn't really have a class system. So the only character we could play was someone with a sword and board. So, sword and shield always.
Right.
And like, okay, I want to see two-handed weapons. I want to see dual wielding and things like that. They had a decent variety of weapons. They all had their own kind of set of attacks. I got this nice one that had like lightning on it, and I was able to do like flips and stab shit with people. It was really cool. But I wanted to see like more weapon variety, because Dark Souls and Bloodborne have tons of weapon variety, and that's what keeps the combat interesting.
I guess what makes that complicated is that then they also have to add in lots of different types of enemies that maybe they haven't considered yet, because if I'm like a dual wielder, then I specifically have to be killing things that can drop weapons that I can use, you know, rather than it just being like everybody starts as the same kind of character and you can pick up any weapon.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure how they would do that exactly. But one way or the other, like, just playing a sword and shield is going to get dull for me after a while. So hopefully they're able to implement classes and things. But yeah, it looked pretty cool. I've got plenty of footage to show, which is mostly me doing runs and dying in 5 minutes. So that sounds about right. All right, it's about break time, so let's do that. And we'll be gone for about 10 minutes. When we come back, we've got loads more games from PAX to tell you about. So you're watching the Corruptional Podcast, Post-PAX edition. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to let you know that today's show is brought to you by Audible.com/cynical. Audible is an Amazon company that stocks over 180,000 audiobooks, audio dramas, and shows. You can check out a free 30-day free trial over at Audible.com/cynical. Needless to say, since we are shilling the hell out of this product, we also use it ourselves. And I'm going to go around the room and find out what we've been listening to over the last couple of weeks. So you can get a couple of recommendations. Dodger, what have you been listening to the last couple of weeks on Audible?
I've actually been listening to The Dark Worlds of H.P. Lovecraft Volume 1. I found it because the lovely narrator Wayne June, who also narrated Darkest Dungeon, actually is the narrator of the entire volume of The Dark Worlds of H.P. Lovecraft. And it's been delicious and wonderful, and it's only 3 hours long. So you get all of that in a nice, compact, wonderful package.
That is pretty awesome. I mean, let's be honest, those books can be a little bit heavy and a little bit difficult to get through sometimes. Lovecraft's writing style was a little bit unusual, but being accompanied by the Darkest Dungeon narrator in order to do that, I think is a really cool way to experience
he sells
them.
It.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And yeah, you can find that on audible.com/cynical.
You can absolutely pick that up for a credit on audible.com/cynical. Go check out audible.com/cynical for your free 30-day free trial. Jesse, what have you been listening to?
Oh my goodness. Well, as all of you know, I am madly in love with all the Star Wars books that they have on there. And I have been listening, right now I'm listening to Tarkin, which is a great sort of background into our favorite guy who gets blown up in the Death Star. But what they do have on there that I wasn't aware of until recently, because I'm part of that whole you pay a monthly fee and you get like one free book a month.
Yeah, I do the two a month. It seemed like a good number.
And so I just got my free monthly book, and I went online and found out that Bloodline, which is the new Star Wars book that's coming out, is on there for pre-order. And so I pre-ordered it without question because, y'all, it's basically the book. Like, if you saw episode 7 and you were like, I have questions, this is the thing that's going to answer it's like about Leia and Han. It's about the stuff that happened before episode 7. It's every little bit of questioning that you had, like what happened between the time periods, and like what happened with Kylo Ren stuff. It's all in this book, and I'm so excited. So it was an instant pre-order, and I'm all set. The minute it comes out, I'm in.
There are a lot of Star Wars books available on Audible, actually. I'm working my way through the Darth Bane series, which is Dynasty of Evil, as well as Path of Destruction. They're both by Drew Karpyshyn. And those are pretty awesome because it explains the whole Rule of Two. There's actually literally a book called Rule of Two in that series, and why exactly the Sith are much more secretive than they were in the Old Republic, which is, of course, 4,000 years before all of these events, you know, why they are the way that they are. So I've been checking that out, as well as Darth Plagueis, but the one that I picked up recently, which I was very excited about, very recent release, is Alien Out of the Shadows, which is, I believe, canon. It's an audio drama set between Alien and Aliens. So it's right after the destruction of the Nostromo and everything like that. And it's a full-on voiced audio drama by Tim Leben and Dirk Maggs. And I'm starting my way through that now. It basically starts with the Nostromo going up in flames and Ripley, you know, kicking the crap out of the alien and escaping with the ship's cat. And then it goes on from there. So it fills in the blank between the two without going crazy Prometheus nonsense. So
that's actually one of the really cool things about all the different books you can find on Audible. You can get anything from just a straight read, like if it's a crime novel, you get the straight read of the hard-boiled crime novel. If it's sci-fi, it's almost, you're either getting an audio drama or something very, very close to it with the sound effects and the music, like Star Wars.
Yeah, I love that.
So good.
Sometimes the sound design is really on point.
Star Wars in particular does the sound design really well because they have the license to use the official music and sound effects, so that all sounds really good.
Yeah, look, there's so many things you can get on there. Comedy, most of the comedy books on there are legit just read by the comedian, which makes it even better.
And it's great. Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Check out audible.com/cynical for access to over 180,000 audio programs from leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine, and newspaper publishers. Various things. The new Alien book, as I said, is Alien Out of the Shadows. Do check that out. The various Star Wars books, including the Darth Bane series, and, of course, many, many more books besides. You can get your free 30-day trial at audible.com/cynical, and then the system is that you can either buy an audiobook, straight up, or you can sign up to a monthly program which will give you credits, and you can trade in those credits every month for a full audiobook. So I get 2 credits a month, I get 2 audiobooks a month, and the nice thing about the site as well is that it's got a hell of a lot of reviews and recommendations. So there's literally thousands of star ratings for each of these books, so you can figure out which are the good ones and which are not so good. So go check it out, audible.com/cynical, because let's be honest, you don't have time to read nor the inclination to do so. Audible.com/cynical for over 180,000 audiobooks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the co-optional podcast, Post-PAX. Post-PAX without POX, which is nice. No POX. We're happy with that.
Nice.
Sorry, I had you muted again. I'm an idiot.
No, it's
sorry.
good. It's good. It's good because I talked about the thing, and I need to not talk about the thing so that we don't get jinxed.
Good.
So
That
I
works.
have no idea what you just said, so...
nothing happened. Nothing happened. Literally nothing happened while we were muted. I didn't say anything. I just mouthed as though words were coming out. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Great.
All right. Okay, back to the many, 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 many things we've been playing at PAX. Who wants to go next?
Did any of you play? I think it's Night in the Woods, Night at the Woods, Night in the Woods.
I did
A little
not.
cat? You're a little cat? And I was like, well, this
Were
is
you like
God's game.
a little
I did.
prepubescent cat?
Yes, I think you're a...
Did you pickpocket? Did you do the pickpocket minigame?
I remember beating stuff up with a bat quite a bit. So the premise of this is like you are a tween cat, I'm gonna assume, like a tween girl cat, and you have come back to your town, and you just are out to have fun with your friends and wreck shit and be naughty. And spoiler, there's something in the woods, and it is out to get you. That's about as simple as you can get with the game description. The art style is what sells it.
Yeah, exactly. The art style is why I stopped to look at it.
Yeah.
Looks great.
It's basically one of those it's 2D story side scrolling game where you run and jump and bash things with a bat.
Mm-hmm.
And you meet a lot of characters in this town, and you sort of learn about the town. But it's also, what I took away from it is that it was very I don't know if melancholy is the right word. Is that how you would describe it? There's definitely an undertone of sadness throughout the entire game that
it's almost it almost feels like the characters are jaded even though they're young. I think that's what kind of felt melancholic about it to me, was that it was these obviously young kid characters who are just the world fucking sucks. And just don't care about anything. But that combined with the art style, I think makes a really interesting game. I'm excited for that to come out. I don't know when it's supposed to come out though.
I think looking it up right now, it was a Kickstarter, so that's actually really cool. I did not know that. And so it looks like they destroyed their goal, and I don't see when this is going to come out. But from the screenshots and stuff on the Kickstarter, it's great. Apparently, it's all from a coal mining town that's run out of no one's in the mines anymore, and everyone's just sort of depressed and
Tales old as time.
All the the lizard smokes and the fox drinks. This is great. Yeah, no, it's but again, I think what really sells it was the art style. Was just I saw it was like, need to play this game, and yeah, I'm not sure that I like my takeaway from was like, oh, that was fun, but this is one of those games that I'm like you were saying earlier. I'm much more interested in where it's going than what I played. What I played was like, oh, that's cool, but I want to see like down the line.
You need like the full experience of playing the game, because the demo is literally just you're an angry girl cat who wants to beat up stuff.
Yeah,
and you can tell that there's way more to it, but that's the demo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there's so much there that you were just like, oh, I bet there's some cool stuff in this game, and you only got like a sliver. And it's like, all right, well, cool. I can't wait to see what this turns out to be. But yeah, that was pretty cool. There was another game that I didn't get to play that I wanted to. I don't know if you guys got to Dead by Daylight.
No,
I didn't play that either. I walked by the booth and I was gonna watch because they had like a group of people playing on the screens that were on the outside, and I was like, oh, I'll just wait and watch them play. And it took so long for them to set up a game that I gave up. Good story, Dodger.
I wanted to play that, but I too could not. Like it was just a ludicrous line, so I gave up on it. But
okay, so we're not talking about that game then.
Well, no, but like essentially, from what I watched, it's a 4 or 3v1 game where
it's 4v1. It's asymmetric. One
already
person
interested.
Is murderer.
Okay, one person's the killer.
Yeah,
and
one
everyone
person's
else
a murderer
has to
in the
live.
woods. And everybody else everybody else has objectives. So you like have to go and complete your objective. But the second you complete an objective, the murderer is notified where you are.
Yeah.
It's almost like they hear something and they're like, oh, everybody's that way. And so the second you complete an objective, you have to hide or you have to run somewhere. Yeah, I love games like that. So I did want to play it. I didn't get a chance.
That sounds neat, yeah.
I watched the guy murder a bunch of people, and it was great. Because it's very obvious, at least from what I could tell, that unless you're working, because one of the things that I think would be great is like if you plan it that all of you complete your objectives at the same time or something like that, you overwhelm the killer, and so he can't like. But people were just willy-nilly running around doing stuff, and the killer was just like, I know where you are now, and just immediately going to kill them. It was so good. I was like, oh, I want to play this game so badly. Yeah, so
I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad that even though Evolve didn't do great, that people are still messing around with that style of game.
They do need to. They really, really fucking do, because I love asymmetric games. And I'm more pissed now at Evolve for fucking it up. It's like
for like possibly being the reason that people are scared to
do it. Yeah, it's like no, trust me, Evolve just did it badly. Evolve just didn't fucking understand what it needed to do. It didn't have enough depth by any stretch of the imagination. It didn't have enough content to justify this ludicrous price tag. It was marketed terribly in terms of the people thinking that it had loads of day one DLC, which it really didn't. It was just cosmetic shit. But people believe that the season passes. It had a double season pass for fuck's sake. That game was ridiculous, and now Fable Legends is also not going to happen. I'm very afraid that we won't have many of those asymmetric games anymore.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, because someone in chat mentioned, the game itself, the way it plays is that the killer is first person, but all the victims are third. So they have a full view of like what's going on around them, but the killer is first person, which is super dope. So it makes it very like, I'm going to hunt you down now.
Yeah. Yeah, that game looked really cool. I'm trying to think if there was... Oh, We Happy Few is the other game that I really wanted to play and didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
We Happy Few is great. And unfortunately, for every one of their demos, they have a ton of like collectibles and things you can find in story bits. But it's like, I'm playing the demo, so I gotta hurry it along. So, like, all right, well, I guess I'll just keep running around until I get assaulted by people in this town. But it's real creepy. It's the atmosphere's like pitch perfect. It's great. It's very like I don't know who the actor is. Whoever they got the live action actor to be the like the British newscaster in this creepy 60s world is phenomenal. It's so I don't want to. It's so good. I can't even do it justice. Like it's the best part of the game.
Another game that I tried out is called Goner. It was like a little indie game that was off to the side, and basically it's a procedurally generated game where you play like sections at a time. But you start off as just this little body, and then you choose a head and a weapon and a pack to hold things in. And you go into the procedural world and you like fight things. The second that you get hit once, you lose your head and your weapon, and everything just like drops. So you have to like run back and grab it. And if you don't grab it in time and you get hit again, because you can't fight anything if you don't have your stuff. So you're just like a sitting duck. So if you drop things in a really horrible place, then you're kind of hosed. But yeah, you have to grab everything again and then keep making your way through it. Otherwise you die and you go back. But there are like all different kinds of heads that you can choose that give you different jumping abilities for the most part. It helps. Like there was one head that let you do a triple jump, and on the third jump you could like spin in the air and shoot. So you could do like trick shots if you really wanted to. And there were a few different types of guns. Only one backpack in the demo, but it was cute. It was like a pretty simple, cute game that I played.
Did you play Hob? Did you see
I
Hob?
played Hob. Yes, I got footage of Hob
what's
actually. Did you get a chance to play it, Jesse? Or were you asking
No,
me?
that's why I
Okay, I'll tell you about
saw
Hob.
all the like it was everywhere. They had trailers and stuff on every screen in the entire convention center.
Yeah,
It was like,
alongside.
kind of like Zelda.
Can I call out Gabe and Tycho for a second? I love those guys to death, but you got G2A as a sponsor for your
God, I was
event.
seeing G2A everywhere at PAX. I was like, God damn it.
All right. As I brandish this airsoft, going to use it. I got a new 911. It's nice. Anyway, the point is, they got G2A as a sponsor for an event that is full of indie studios that have been ripped off by G2A. Now, just to clarify, because I think the problem with G2A is a lot of people, either they don't care, in which case I can't help them, or they don't know that G2A is a place which has, on many occasions, and continues to sell fraudulent keys that were acquired through... a lot of them are either they're scammed out of the developer, like someone says, I'm a reviewer on YouTube, I'm going to make a video for you, and then they just sell the key when they get it, which, fuck anyone that does that. If you do that, go fuck yourself, jump off a bridge. And also people that steal credit cards and then buy keys en masse and then sell them that way, which causes chargebacks to come to the developer when the person who got ripped off, gets their money back, which costs the indie developer money. I mean, it's shut down studios before. It almost shut down the Natural Selection 2 guys when they got ripped off for that. G2A is a knowing and willing partner in doing so, as far as I'm concerned. They're a marketplace that does not check whether or not those keys are legitimate. They sell grey market keys from other regions, which they're not supposed to Americans who are not supposed to buy them. But more importantly, they sell keys that are stolen. Stolen goods! Literally stolen goods. And they were sponsoring PAX, which is full of indie devs who have been affected by that, which I found to be ridiculous. I don't know why they were allowed to do that, but it's like, yeah, hey, you want to buy some stolen fucking keys? You want to go see the dev down on the floor whose keys they were stolen from? Because the sponsor, he's right fucking here. So fuck G2A and fuck PAX for advertising them. I don't know why they did that, but I hope they never do it again. All right, anyway, back to Hob. So Hob is the latest game by Runic, and it is very much not an action RPG at all. It's very Zelda-esque, no doubt about that, up to and including you can chop down the reeds to find health in the grass and stuff. So very kind of Link's Awakening and stuff like that. And it also has a little bit of Shadow of the Colossus aspect to it. Not only in terms of the way that you're climbing really big shit, but you also have a... what is it? It's just the aesthetic is very kind of Shadow of the Colossus in many ways. It doesn't play like it, but it just kind of gives you sort of vibes of that. But the whole point is that the whole area moves around depending on what you do. So there are a lot of mechanical aspects to this world. Apparently, the world was all run by these constructs, these kind of automatons, and then they kind of went crazy. And the you have to fight them, but you also have to do the job that they were doing. So you have to go and You push the thing into here, and then something moves, and the whole terrain rearranges itself as you do the puzzles. So the demo, which was really cool and gave me a very satisfying conclusion, was a giant loop. The place that you start has a door you can't get in. You loop around the whole level, completing puzzles and traversing everything, and you get a new ability, which is like a lightning grappling hook, which lets you sort of shoot over obstacles and stick onto things, and also pull the limbs off of big constructs, which I thought was really cool. And it looped me all the way around back to where I started, and because I'd done the puzzles, everything had rearranged itself, and I could actually get through. So action platformer, Zelda-ish puzzles, a little bit of Metroidvania in there, beautiful animation, absolutely gorgeous world. The combat is a little basic, but then again, once you start acquiring items, it gets better. Once I got the grappling hook, I fought this mini-boss where I was able to tear its armor off with the grappling hook and then attack it. So that was pretty cool. I thought that game was beautiful, actually.
It looks great.
It's a really good game. And it still has the corpse exploding from Torchlight 2 in it, so I was happy about that. You hit something hard enough, it goes pop, so that's great. But it is not Torchlight. It's something different for them, but what they've done is really awesome, and it looks beautiful. So yeah, I'd keep an eye out for Hob if you're into that. If you like Zelda, keep an eye out for Hob, basically, because you'll get a lot of that out of it. So yeah, I've got a video of that coming later. I've got the footage on my computer. I just need to get it commentated. Oh, what else did you play, Jesse?
I mean, everything I played like 90% of what I played Friday. And so that's why I had a lot to talk about at the panel on Saturday. But yes, Sunday was, just a mess of me trying to run around and do the Cox and Crendor panel. So I got nothing done Sunday. So everything I did was from Friday and Saturday. Sunday was a no-show day for me.
Fair enough. I did 10 games on Sunday, so I can blitz through all the stuff I did at Adult Swim because I did 5 more at that booth.
I was just about to say, I don't think that I talked about Headlander.
You did not. Let's talk about Headlander because that's a cool game.
I thought that was a cool game too. It was like an interesting. So Headlander is a game where you wake up as just a head.
Yes.
You're just a head in a little container. You can't talk. You can't really do much of anything except attach yourself to bodies and machines. So you wake up on the spaceship. You have this voice in your head that's like, "We need to get off this ship. I'll help you." You can like kind of launch yourself off of machines and bodies and attach to other ones and move around.
Yeah, you've got a rocket booster on your head, basically.
Yeah, and so it winds up being an interesting spin on like a side-scroller puzzler game because you're solving puzzles by like attaching your head to different things or like using your head to go through small spaces to get to big spaces and things like that. So the whole demo is you like getting off of this ship. And I thought that it wound up being like oddly charming for what it was.
It's phenomenally charming because it looks like a 50s or 60s sci-fi. It's very ray guns and big spacesuits. But it's extremely funny. It actually, the humor reminds me very much of Archer. It's actually a Double Fine game, but Adult Swim are paying for it, basically. So you don't have to worry about them running out of money or anything, for once. But it's Double Fine, like, Double Fine's take on Archer in space, I think, is maybe one of the best ways to look at it. It's really funny most of the time. Like, I loved, I attached myself to a vacuum cleaner, and I was able to complete the level that way. There were several ways to beat the level. One of them was attach yourself to a vacuum cleaner, drive through the maintenance tunnels, and just fucking leave. So I just did that.
That's totally what I did too. And I loved that because throughout the demo up till that point, you keep running into those vacuum cleaners and you can talk to them.
You can talk to them, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was awesome to just like reach this point in the game where I was like, can I attach myself? Oh my god, I can't.
You can, yeah. Because you get very early on, you get a head vacuum, which lets you, if you fly above and turn like upside down with your head, you can suck the head off another like robot body and then you can steal it. So, which is fucking awesome. The bodies are very much interchangeable. Like, if you get a good body with, like, a good weapon or ability or whatever, you kind of want to keep it, but you probably won't be able to. Like, either it'll explode, because they die quite fast, you can only take a couple of hits before you lose your body and have to fly and get another one. Or
the next room will have a puzzle where you have to
switch bodies. Yeah. But you can get, like, ones with really cool weapons, and there's different body types available, and the sense of humor is just awesome. The animation is very, very funny, it's very slapstick comedy. I had a blast with that game, actually. It was a lot better than I expected. There's one thing I'll say about that game. Too much fucking neon. Like, holy
Not enough
fuck.
neon, I think
No, I do not. No, I want my eyes
More
intact
neon.
at the end of this experience. That game had a lot of fucking neon in it. You know, I got the guy with the red laser beam, and I just blinded myself whenever I shot with it. So I maybe tone that down a little bit. Also, the spaceship you escape on is a giant cock. I just want to point that out. And the dev said, this is a penis. There's no doubt.
I think it was definitely on purpose.
Yeah, again, it's very like Archer in space. I think it really is. It's a very fun game, and I'm just glad to hear like Adult Swim is paying for it. So there's no like Kickstarter shenanigans with Double Fine to worry about or funding issues. So it'll actually be finished. Headlander kicked ass. I had a lot of fun with that one. Did you play Rise and Shine?
Which one was that?
You definitely remembered it. It was the one with the really cool cartoony art style where you were on a video game planet.
I think I glanced at someone else playing that game, but I never touched it.
Right, so I played Rise and Shine, and you play a kid called Rise, and you very early on, you live in a world where all the video game characters are living in harmony until the Space Marines come and fuck up everything.
No, Space Marines.
Yeah, fucking Space
happens.
Marines. Yeah, basically the Gears of War guys come and fuck up everything. In the first scene, you're in a shopping mall, and the Gears of War guy
shows up,
and basically
everything.
Link is facing off against him, who's called Legendary Warrior. He gets shot in the stomach. Like, just like very graphic. It's like, fuck. And he's like, take my gun. It's called Shine for some reason. And my gun is a magical gun. Please save like video game land thing.
Okay.
And you start off with this gun, and it starts off very basic. It's got like 6 shots. You got to manually reload it and everything. But you upgrade it with different ammo types and imbue it with different like powers. And the gun talks to you, because of course it does. So the first one you get is remote control bullets. So you aim the bullet, and then you can guide it to its destination. So that's pretty cool. There's also like electric bullets, and you get like a laser sight to help aim at everything. You die very, very fast in that game, and so it has a cover system. It's a 2D side-scroller with a cover system. You press B to take cover, and then you pop out and try and take the guys out. It's quite difficult to aim, I noticed, in that game.
Yeah.
It's a bit... I don't know if that's on purpose, or maybe it's just something to do with the...
It's like Naughty
stick.
Dog. They're like, no. It's want
on
you to
purpose.
Feel like
I hope
you've
not.
never used the shine gun before.
Yeah,
we want it to be accurate.
You know what this art style reminds me of? Awesome Knots.
Yeah, it's not by them. I can tell you that for a fact. It's by apparently some people that made Plants vs Zombies and Worms are involved in it. The art, seeing this game in motion, it's fucking beautiful. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. In the first sequence, you end up fighting... Well, I guess not really fighting. There's this giant robot that just comes up and fucking murders you. And it's just like, this is the most... so much detail in this. You can see how colorful this thing is.
Okay, I watched a dude try to fight a boss in this game. Now that I'm looking at it, I remember. I watched a dude try to fight a boss in this game for like 30 minutes. I was so invested in this guy finally beating the boss, and he never did it.
I don't know why it took so long. I beat the whole thing in 15, but that's weird. So
the boss that you have to like get his bar down 3 times.
Did
you fight that guy?
I wonder if I didn't get that far. I thought I'd finished the demo. I might have run out of time. Oh yeah, the big dude. Yeah, I didn't get to actually fight him. I ran out of time, so that's why. I did beat the mini bosses before that, but.
Gotcha. Yeah, I watched a guy fight this dude because I originally was like, oh, I'll wait and I'll play this game once this guy is done. But I got so invested in watching him try and kill this boss, I was like, I'm not gonna interrupt. I'm just gonna wait because he's worked.
But isn't
so
that boss
hard.
like one of the best like drawn things you've ever fucking seen in a video game? Like the amount of detail. But you're right, Jesse. It does look like Awesome Noughts. It's got a very Awesome Noughts like aesthetic. But I love that game to death. Like the whole point is when you get Shine, you are given the power to respawn, which is a magical power, obviously in video game world. You know, so which for some reason did not work with I guess maybe Rise is the one who has it, because all I love is like the first section you gather up with all of the dudes. It's like, we're gonna send Super Mega Hero with you, and you go out.
It's just Mega Man, or
it's just a giant dude in armor. He's like 15 foot tall. He dies immediately. Like he steps on a landmine or whatever, and just explodes, and his body flies everywhere. It's tough. It's a very tough game, but it is fucking cool. So I played that at Adult Swim. I played Rainworld. You might like this. The main character is basically Slug Cat, which is a cat kind of crossed with a slug. You know, it's kind of, or Snake Cat or whatever. The animation style is done procedurally, which means that the Slug Cat has physics and a spine and kind of moves around as you'd expect him to. And it's a game about surviving in this really weird ecosystem.
I remember this game.
Where everything's trying to eat you. I think so, maybe. Let me bring up the trailer for it. The art style is very odd. But the whole point of it is that, you know, here's some beta footage, is that you are supposed to gather food and survive and find shelter at night because the rains come, you know, and if the rains come, then you're a cat. They don't like the rain. You're probably going to end up dying.
Don't you have like slug cat babies and stuff, and you gotta protect the babies?
I believe you can do that. Yeah, I never saw any of that in the demo, but you know, you're gathering food and building shelters and things, and it's a giant ecosystem of creatures that they all have their own different priorities and personalities. So some of them are very passive, some of them are really aggressive, and also they remember how you acted towards them. So they'll actually chase you from screen to screen. Like, they won't give up, they'll keep after you. And you can make kind of alliances with these different creatures and use them to fight the other stuff that's trying to kill you.
Interesting.
So it's a giant, like, living, breathing ecosystem. And, you know, I in this game, I hunted down birds to eat them, basically. And the animation on it was wonderful. You grab them out of the air and they're trying to escape, and the cat's just kind of looking at them and just kind of smashes them together and then bites their head off. So that was really cool. But there's all sorts of ways for this cat to get eaten, basically. You know, you are Slug Cat. You can use basic tools, like you can pick up a brick and hit someone with it, or you can pick up a spear and stab an animal with it. So you're smarter than everybody else, but outside of that, like, you're quite vulnerable, so it's a bit of a survival game. But if you notice the animation and the way that the Slug Cat kind of balances on things is sort of adorable, actually.
It is. It's really cute.
Yeah, they had a plush Slug Cat right there at the booth, which I thought was great. I wanted to take it home with me, so this is the only one we have. It's like, damn it, I want the Slug Cat. But yeah, it's kind of a grim sort of world, you know. It's very, very survival orientated, and there's quite a lot of platforming involved because you got to be able to climb, grab the birds, and avoid, like, getting eaten or drowning or being destroyed by leeches or eaten by the giant vulture that hunts you across the level and things. It's crazy. Really, really interesting. Yeah, so that was Rainworld. And you see the Slug Cat doing the climbing there on the screen. I love the little balancing act he does on the top of the pole. That's kind of cool.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it's
the bird. Yay, he ate the bird. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
Good job, Slug Cat. You did it.
Yeah.
You did it, Slug Cat. You did it.
Cat, you're so cute. Stop.
Oh, dear. Yeah, so that was Rainworld. I played Desync. Desync, again, is a game with too much fucking neon in it, but it's a sort of arena shooter.
Okay.
And it is kind of, I think, based on... This is a trailer from 6 months ago, so, you know, it's a little out of date. But I think it's kind of based on Bulletstorm. Yeah, Bulletstorm. You remember how Bulletstorm had, like, combo kills? Where, like, you do a certain thing, like, you kick someone to a cactus, and you get, like, pricked, or whatever. And that would be, like, a combo kill. This game has that, too. But it's a lot clearer about how it works. But it's basically sort of like Tron-like world, where everything is, like, neon colors, and... You fight enemies that are either synced or desynced, and apparently, like, synced enemies are much, much tougher to kill, and there's unique ways of getting rid of them. And you can also pick up these so-called sidearms, which are like shields and swords, things that you can use when you get a certain amount of points. And the game rewards you for stylish kills, basically.
Okay.
And apparently there's ways to, like, I think it was they said something about, like, you sort of hack the code, as it were, to give yourself an advantage in things, which are basically power-ups, and you know, it's sort of based in a kind of video game world. But what I'll say is, like, the combat is really, really good. Like, it's very slick. It's really quick. It's like playing Quake 3, but it's a single player game. So I played quite a bit of it. I don't know much about how they're gonna do the progression, but I did find out how they did all of the combo kills, and they were cool. Like, there was a gun where I could place a laser trap behind someone, and then I could use the primary fire as a shotgun to knock them back into the lasers, and that would kill them, and I'd get a combo kill for that, and all sorts of things like that. So that was really, really great.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Last, but by no means least, at Adult Swim, I played Wasted, a post-apocalyptic pub crawl. Which is not actually a pub crawl.
Okay.
So, it is a roguelike shooter, which randomly generates a mission, and your mission is to drink the holy booze. And the holy booze is going to give you different powers, because it's post-apocalyptic. You want to get drunk, because that's your only way of, getting through. You start with a random gun with barely no ammo, and you sort of explore the level, and you pick up different guns, and you also get some weird-ass fucking power-ups. Like, there's a power-up I got from, and you get it by drinking alcohol. I drank an alcohol thing, and it said, you gained the power-up Bricked. Whenever you kill an enemy, it shits a brick. And you can pick the brick up and throw it at the other dude, and kill them with it, and beat them to death with the brick that, yeah, you get the idea.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Of all the games I played, it was definitely the least polished, I would say. I don't think the gunplay was that great. Enemies were definitely bullet spongy, and it looks pretty outdated, and not in a good way, I think. Whereas all the other games, like, hey, this is, like, pleasantly retro. Katana Zero is like, this is, like, a really good Super Nintendo game. Wasted was like, this is an old Windows game. But it's roguelite. It respawns and randomly generates a level every time. And it's got some interesting post-apocalyptic kind of Tank Girl-esque humor with a little bit of Fallout tossed in there and a bit of Mad Max, which was cool. That was definitely the game I didn't like as much as the others, I have to say. It was okay, but I was not hugely into the combat, honestly.
Speaking of alcohol... we played a card game called Drunkquest.
Oh, okay, yeah. Tell me about that.
It was very silly. We played it on the show floor, so of course we weren't actually drinking during it. But it's basically Munchkin, except with alcohol involved in the actual mechanics.
I was gonna say Munchkin usually has alcohol involved anyway, but
yeah. So you have like your character, where your character is from, or what like group they're associated with, which gives you different buffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your hand of cards. The cards can be equipment that are like permanent additions to you. They can be instants, or they can be things that you apply to whatever monster you're trying to defeat.
Okay.
The way that you defeat a monster is the monster will have a certain number next to it, and that's the number of sips of your drink you have to take in order to defeat it. Which means that, say it's like my turn, right?
I love this game already.
Yeah.
I love this game already.
So if it's my turn, I like turn over a monster card, and it's like, okay, it's going to take 6 sips for you to defeat this monster, and once you defeat it, you get 3 treasure. So the sort of cards that you can put on it, everybody around you gets an opportunity to apply a card to the monster. That can either make it so that you have to drink more in order to defeat it. Sometimes it's like, take an extra drink but also get an extra treasure, things like that. And each person, it's not like you have to jump in there before the person starts drinking, right?
Right.
Like, each person gets an opportunity to put one card down and be like, okay, at the end, now I know how many drinks I have to take and how much treasure I'm going to get.
Jesus,
and then you have to take that many drinks. Some of the instant cards are literally just make any person of your choice take 10 drinks. Like, they can be as extreme as that. Yeah, and we were like, so how many beers are you thinking that it's gonna take to like play one game? And they were like, oh, we were trying to measure it out. We're thinking it takes like around 40 to 50 sips to get through one game. So I don't know, maybe like 5 beers. I was like, all right, to play one game of Drunkquest, great. It was fun, and my favorite part, the cards are fucking huge. They're like this big, and I was like, did you make these huge so that when people are drunk they can still read them? And they were like, you know it. So yeah, we ended up buying that for a friend, actually, because it seemed like it was super fun. None
That
of the other
that
like
seems
board
playable,
games. Yeah, none of the other board games really stuck out to us, honestly. So that was the only one that we wound up playing for a decent amount of time, and we're like, okay, yeah, let's grab this one. Did either of you play Dwarves?
No.
Is it Dwarves or We Are Dwarves?
It's called The Dwarves.
Fucking hell, there's so many
The
games with
Dwarves?
dwarves in them. Cause
The Dwarves.
Okay, so it's no, I don't recognize that. Yeah, because there's We Are the Dwarves, and then there's Dwarves,
All right, well,
and now
up,
apparently there's
just
The
type
Dwarves.
Don't just type in the Dwarves to Google, because the first thing that comes up, even though it is thedwarves.com, that's not what I thought.
God damn it. So
That's not what I thought it was.
this is a game where I don't know what type of game you would say it is, but you're like walking with an army of dwarves that are like your dwarves. And then amongst your like little army of dwarves, you have hero dwarves. And those are dwarves that you can like specifically control at a certain time that have like special abilities. And you can have multiple heroes at once. Like in the demo, it has like 2 different heroes that you can swap between. It has the sort of, I think the last game I played that had this was Dragon Age. It has like the mechanic where you can freeze everything and decide, okay, you're going to do this and you're going to do this.
Yeah, pause.
And then once I unpause, everybody does what I've told them to do, right? So I thought that was pretty fun. It was basically just like, we're dwarf kings and we've got our dwarf bros and we're gonna come shred some stuff.
Do the dwarfing, yeah, whatever
and
that
we're
is.
gonna do the dwarfing. Yeah, I thought that looked really fun.
Oh, it's based off a novel or a series of novels. It was on Kickstarter.
There's so many games called Dwarves.
People are super into dwarves right now. It's because we got those super hot dwarves in the Hobbit movies, and now everybody's all like, "Oh,
I want the sex dwarves." Okay.
yeah, I'm into those sex dwarves. Let's get those."
I love the sex dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm trying.
The dwarves. All right. So the Book of Unwritten Tales. This is the same team.
Is it? What?
Their first Kickstarter was Battle Worlds Chronos.
Mm-hmm.
Their second Kickstarter was Book of Unwritten Tales.
Book of Unwritten Tales. Yeah, you loved that game, didn't you?
I did. I love that game.
So it seems like an action RPG of sorts, by the looks of it. I'm just
Oh
watching
yes,
some
this
gameplay.
shit on the bridge.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so satisfying because the king dwarf has like a sweep. If you got enough of those little dudes in your sweep, they would all just get thrown off the bridge. You're like, yes, it felt awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because right now on fucking Steam there is We Are the Dwarves, which
Yes, that's what I thought you were talking about.
yeah, it does not, which is not that game, and that's something called by Whale Rock. Although it is kind of similar, I think. No, actually, it's not. No, maybe it is because that's also like an action RPG thing. Fuck, this is so confusing.
I don't know.
Can you call it something that's not the Dwarves? Could we call it something less generic than that? Because holy fuck. We have way too many. Yeah, dwarfies.
Dwarfies.
Sex dwarves. Yeah. There you go.
The sex dwarfies.
Absolutely.
Our super serious action RPG, the sex dwarfies.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last game that I can remember playing is Chasm. It was a side-scroller RPG. It was right next to the Axiom Verge booth. And I don't know what to say about that game other than it had like really good response in terms of
What was the name of it again, sorry?
It's called Chasm.
Yes.
It's got a nice art style. It was super clean. I liked it. And if the whole game plays the way that the demo did, it has that whole idea of if you explore the entire map, you get like 100% exploration bonus before you hit the boss and stuff like that. And they were doing the whole, if you beat the boss of our demo, then you get a poster. The boss wasn't super hard, but I thought that just playing the game, like the way that the game felt was really nice. And it does the whole bonfire thing where, every now and then you find a campfire that somebody just left behind and you can sit there and have full health. So I was like, oh, great. I know what to do with these. Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
it's,
that game was
it's very-
kickstarted 3 years ago. Like,
Chasm was.
Chasm, yeah. There's even like gameplay from 10 months ago, and apparently this is still not done.
Oh.
Damn. I mean, it was fun when I played it, but damn, that's a long time
Yeah,
for a game like that.
I'd definitely say so. I mean, I'm trying to find a trailer, but the last one, I think the official trailer is from 3 years ago, so that doesn't seem like it would be representative at all.
Yeah.
It's very, that's very Sega Genesis kind of in terms of its graphic style. No doubt about that. I'm not a world's biggest fan of that art style, I've got to admit. It's like we may have too many games in this world that use it.
Yeah. I still thought it was cute. I liked it.
It's a bit Ghosts and Goblins, isn't it? Yeah. Alright. Fair enough. Sorry, I can't summon enthusiasm for that one. I get like 5 of these games in my inbox every week. I'm like, God damn it, not another one.
Look,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, actually, someone pointed out in chat, it looks a lot more like a Game Boy Advance game. Like, yeah, you're right, actually, it does. Like, which is like Super Nintendo with less clarity, I think. It's sort of like, it's kind of got the same color palette and range as a Super Nintendo game, but it just looks a bit blurrier. Yeah, it looks a bit like that, I guess. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Word.
Can I tell you about the Pit People?
Sure.
I'll tell you about the
Do
Pit
it.
People. Yeah, so that was the last game that I got to see. I mean, I have got a bunch more, but, getting towards the end of the segment anyway, I'll get onto the news afterwards. Pit People is the new game by Behemoth, which are the guys behind Alien Hominid, Castle Crashers, and Battle Block Theater. They brought, for some reason, these controllers to the event. They decided, we want to make a tactics game, but we're going to have you play it on a fight stick. But we're going to alter the fight stick. The fight stick has a giant yellow lever that you pull whenever you want to end the turn.
Okay.
And I'm like, why did you do this? It's like, because we felt it was more satisfying. And then I pulled the lever, I'm like, you're right. I wish I could end every turn with this. It's like pulling a slot machine, basically. So, Pit People is, for all intents and purposes, a kind of hex-driven strategy game. And it is... It's weird to explain because most of those games just let you move your dudes around and choose what you want to attack, right? Well, this game doesn't let you choose what you want to attack, which is a bit weird. But you can kind of determine what the guy's going to attack based on what he's standing next to. So if he's just standing next to one dude, he's obviously going to hit that guy. And you get to move each of your characters, and then your characters do the attack, and then there's the enemy's turn, and so on and so forth. It's very, very simple initially, but you play it in co-op. So you control half the squad each.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and I asked them, like, why did you do this? Well, it's like, and they said, look, it's kind of in our DNA. We make games that have, like, couch play, one way or the other. So when we decided we're going to make a tactics game, it's like, it's got to have couch play. If you can still play it single player, but we want people to play it together because we think it'll be funny. And it also helps speed the game up because you can move 2 characters at once if you've got 2 dudes. So it actually speeds up a genre which is otherwise actually kind of quite slow, usually. So I can see actually why they did it once I played it. And the fight stick is silly, but it was fun to use. I was controlling it and then pulling the lever at the end of it. It was like, this is weird, but I like it, I like how this feels, Yeah. So obviously you can play it with like a normal keyboard and mouse and everything. But the storyline of it is what got me. I've got footage of it, and I'll hopefully have it on the channel in the next couple of days. But this world is kind of ruled over by a cosmic bear, and this cosmic bear just likes to fucking kill people, and it also rains acid down, like bear blood or something like that,
As bears do.
on the
Assholes,
planet,
boys.
and melts shit. He's an asshole. And so the bandits attack this couple, and they tell the kid, get inside! And so they defend, they fight off the bandits, very bravely, and then the bear flattens the house with the kid in it. Just out of nowhere. And the guy's like, no! And then goes off to fight in the pit.
Murders a sweet baby boy.
It's a bear! He doesn't give a fuck! Why would he?
Murdered a baby.
Giant cosmic space bear. He doesn't give any shits at all.
We're specks of dust to him. Don't you get it?
Indeed.
Don't you get
Guess
it,
so.
Dodger?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess you're right.
And besides, it inspires them to become great warriors. So they go to the pit, and they join this team, and they start to recruit different characters and fight in the pit and also go and do different missions. And your base is sort of this town where the pit is, and you can upgrade all of your characters. You can buy property there, apparently, for some reason. And you can get these different characters, and the whole thing is just a very slick, very quick tactics game that's, designed to be played very fast. But it's got the Behemoth sense of humor and crazy shit going on all the time. And there's like some really interesting ideas, like they've got the sort of system from Fire Emblem where weapons counter different things, but they made it kind of humorous. So it's like big hammer counters you if you have a helmet on. So if you hit something with a helmet with a hammer, it takes more damage and stuff like that. So I found that kind of neat. If you've got a shield, arrows that kind of hit you as they try to pass you just stick in your shield and they don't hit the guy behind you, which is pretty neat. And your guys just literally level up in the middle of combat, kind of out of nowhere, with this giant purple beam that, like, heals them back up, and you can get different equipment for them and things like that. And you can hire all sorts of different kinds of pit people who all have different abilities. It's very out of the ordinary for them. Like, it's very different to their previous games, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. And the sense of humor is fucking brilliant. They have the same narrator that did Battle Block Theater, and he is funny as fuck. He is really funny. The writing on it is just spot on brilliant. So I had fun with Pit People. I think that's going to be really, really cool. Yeah. Let's take a break.
Okay.
I did play more games, but we'll probably try and do news, assuming there is anything. If not, I guess we'll talk about more games. You're watching the Corruptional Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Corruptional Podcast. Final 50 or so minutes of the show, and moving, I suppose, on to news. We pretty much covered most of PAX. PAX itself. Yeah, there is. I just posted it in the Skype group there for you. The PAX itself did not have too many announcements or anything, did it?
Not that I noticed.
No.
I didn't hear much of anything.
No, I don't think there was really much announced at PAX per se. It was really just showing the stuff that they had. So that's fine. We don't need to talk about that. But there is a story that's been going around for a number of weeks now, and I wanted to wait. Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, because I really don't give a shit about WoW anymore, so I actually didn't really want to cover this. But I know Jesse definitely does give a fuck about this to some degree. And it's
a vanilla WoW server?
Yes, and it's a fairly big topic. I believe you talked about it as well. And I also wanted to wait for kind of the dust to settle, because we've had various articles posted, and we've also had statements from Blizzard themselves, which is something that I definitely wanted to talk about. I wanted to make sure that Blizzard had the chance to respond, as opposed to going purely off the word of, people running private servers and such. So I would like to dive into it, if you're okay with that. And that is the subject of the recent shutdown after a cease and desist of what was basically, it is a pirate server for World of Warcraft that was running the vanilla version of the game. It was called Nostalrius, play nostalgia or whatever.
Like nostalgia.
Yeah. And apparently it was quite a large one. There's been mixed claims about how many people were actually on the server. I believe there was a claim that was about 150,000 accounts, but it didn't necessarily indicate how many people were playing and how many people had multiple accounts, how many people were running bots and all sorts of things like that. Like,
I heard something like, I think I heard it was like 500,000 accounts, but around 150,000 concurrent players, which would be crazy. Like,
I heard 150,000 concurrent players, which, almost seems insane, because I'm pretty sure even a vanilla WoW server couldn't run anywhere near that many. Like, one realm couldn't run that many at a time. I heard it was like 500,000 tunes and 150,000 accounts or something like that. But the numbers seem like they're all over the place. Yeah. It seems like it's very difficult to figure out exactly how many people were really playing. The English one claims there were 1 million gaming accounts of some sort. I'm like, really? Like, you sure about that? I don't know. Like, but, it's very hard to know how many there actually were, because you're also relying pretty much entirely on the word of the people who are running this.
Right.
The people who are running the server. So it's in their best interest to make it look as huge as possible. So their numbers are, and I've got their numbers here, 800,000 accounts, 150,000 active accounts. So, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't have a
then
clue.
A much lower number of concurrent players, I assume.
I would very much imagine. Apparently, according to people in chat, it was 15,000 concurrent across 2 servers, and some people were claiming about 5,000 concurrent, which is about, that's reasonable sized realm size, for World of Warcraft. Apparently, the default cap per server was 500,000 connections, not including the sysop channels for admins, according to people in chat. So, it's, again, a lot of those numbers, hard to judge, hard to say how accurate they were. Anyway, back to the story itself. So, the story is fairly predictable because this has happened many, many times. This is a pirate server, as are any servers that run the WoW code without being World of Warcraft. It is a subscription-based game, so essentially playing the game without a subscription is piracy. There's really no way to slice it otherwise. And the server was eventually given a cease and desist by Blizzard. It was taken down.
I think people expected for a while.
I would think so. I would think so, because this has happened before. Private servers don't generally stay up that long. But it is worth noting that not all of the private servers were doing what Nostalrius was doing, which was running a vanilla version of the game. So the argument that Nostalrius and their admins and the volunteers that were running it, and also the people who were playing it, are basically making is that actually this version of the game does not exist anymore. This is WoW vanilla. You have no way to play this game anymore. It doesn't exist. So I think that why not let us have it? Is it really piracy? I mean, you're essentially making the abandonware argument at that point. You're saying that this game, you're not selling vanilla WoW anymore. Vanilla WoW, even if you buy just WoW and you don't even buy an expansion, you don't get to play vanilla WoW. You play our new version of WoW, which is Cataclysm Plus. It's Cataclysm onwards WoW, where shit was broken and everything like that. So that was the argument they made, which obviously holds no legal water at all. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. And there was an article on Game Informer written by Mike Footer, who is one of the good ones, who was talking about Blizzard's stance on this in terms of intellectual property and protecting that intellectual property, as well as protecting IP and having to aggressively protect it. So the answer, according to J. Allen Brack, when asked the question, why not just let Nostalrius continue the way it was the honest answer is failure to protect against intellectual property infringement would damage Blizzard's rights. This applies to anything that uses WoW as IP, including unofficial servers. While we've looked into the possibility, there is no clear legal path to protect Blizzard's IP and grant an operating license to a pirate server at the same time.
So they have to be all or nothing, is the idea.
Essentially, they claim, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to comment if this is true, but it certainly sounds like it might be. It certainly sounds like it would be very complex to be able to license the technology out in such a way to a server like that without losing a lot of rights over their IP, which obviously they don't want to do. Not to mention the fact that licensing out their technology for free on a subscription-based model is maybe not the best idea ever, but one way or the other, they claim, and this is straight from the horse's mouth, this is from their public statement, that there was no clear legal path to protect their IP and grant an operating license to private server. So you can't just live and let live. And this is the case with, I know this is the case with trademarks in the US. If you do not aggressively protect your trademark, if you don't go after people that use it, you can lose it. Because court says, well, you obviously didn't care enough to protect it, so we're going to make it generic. And that's a huge risk for people that own intellectual property. Now, Blizzard also says that we're looking into so-called pristine realms. The idea that it would strip out things like character boosts, friend recruitment, character transfers, and stuff like that. Which is not really what I think people were looking for at all, was it, Jesse?
Well, this is a question that's been asked to Blizzard at every BlizzCon, ever. Since the beginning of BlizzCons, are they just going to create a server that was vanilla WoW? And every time they've said no. They've said, the story we're telling, the game we're making is a progressing one. And, it's been their policy since the beginning that this wasn't something that they were going to do. And they've even tried and to see if it was possible. And every time they've tried, they've been like, it's not going to happen. And so this is to me, this is one of those things that there's never been a hint on Blizzard's end that this was something that they were okay with and that they wanted to exist to begin with. So I get that there's a huge commotion and there's a lot of people that are angry over the idea like, oh, Blizzard's killing this indie community who just wants to have fun with this game.
Yes, in indie community, also known as it is piracy, literal piracy.
Right.
There's no other way to look at it. It's piracy.
Yeah, it sucks that these guys, you know, I imagine at the end of the day they just want to have fun. Like,
of course. It's not like people are being malicious, you know. I get that they're not going, we're going to rip off Blizzard. Arr! No, I mean, you can make the argument that, especially if those people want to play vanilla WoW, they probably weren't subbed to real WoW anyway, because real WoW didn't give them the experience they wanted. You know, you can make an argument that's a service problem there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that they enjoyed that one period of WoW, and they really just wanted that experience
again.
And like, I don't fault them for that, and I can't say anything bad about that. It's someone they clearly really enjoyed that part of the game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But you know, it's been a Blizzard policy forever. Like, they're not going to tolerate that. So, I mean, they got away with it for as long as they did, and then got caught. Like, it sucks. It's shitty, but them's the rules. Like,
I mean,
don't know.
that's the risk that you take when you set something like this up. Like, no one, I think, goes into this thinking that it's going to last forever. You know, they try and fly under the radar as much as possible. The reality is Nostalrius got too big, and Blizzard had to do something about it. They couldn't just ignore it.
Yeah.
Especially if it was advertising itself and people actually knew about it.
I think the thing that keeps being thrown around to make Blizzard look more like the bad guys in this whole thing is, oh, well, the only reason they're doing it now is because they're bleeding subscribers and stuff like that.
No, it's still the most popular MMO that's got a subscription in the world. And let's be honest, when Legion comes out, it's going to surge again. They're bleeding subs because they're coming towards the end of an expansion. It goes in waves. It always goes in waves. You know, WoW's not as popular as it used to be, but it's still fucking huge.
Yeah, it's the biggest one out there, and it's not a problem with WoW. It's a problem with the genre. Like, MMORPGs are just like, they had their popularity, and now other games have come along and leached off the popularity of that to get the players. It's not, you know, it's just the genre. I think, this is one of those things that, you know, WoW, as they create each expansion, sort of adds more and more and more and more and more. And so, even though a lot of people have the idea that, like, well, why can't they just create, you know, a server called Thrall, and all it is old school WoW? I can't even imagine the amount of work it would take to keep that running, like, to regress everything.
Do they even have vanilla WoW? Like, do they still have the actual source code? Like, can they even if they wanted to, could they set up a server for vanilla WoW? I have no idea. Maybe not.
And everything they've said so far makes it seem like they're saying, no, it's not going to happen. Like, we can't do it. And the amount of time and energy to just go and recreate that and then have people in charge of that for such a small niche is tough. It's a tough sell to a company like Blizzard, who has so much other stuff going on. And so, you know,
I mean, it's not even just that. Like, I think it's down to, is there enough proof that even if they were able to do this, even if they had the infrastructure, which I'm pretty sure right now they do not. I mean, fuck, I own one of the servers that used to run that shit. They don't have those anymore. They're literally in people's houses. You know, they'd have to set everything up again. Even if that were the case, would people actually play them enough to justify running them? Because you can give the Nostalrius numbers all you like, but one, we don't know how accurate they are, and secondly, we don't know how many people were actually playing, how many were bot accounts, and how many people would literally stick around for more than a few months.
Right.
That would actually justify the monumental effort of setting those things up. You know, you'd also have to have an entirely different support team. Think about it. The knowledge that the GMs have right now is completely inapplicable to vanilla WoW. But if you were to create a vanilla WoW server, you would have to also support it. So you'd need tech support staff, you'd need GMs, people that were actually trained to be able to solve the problems of a vanilla server that ran 8 years ago.
I love the argument in chat that's like, well, if these guys can do it, why can't Blizz do it?
Because they could barely do it. This thing was held together by string and glue.
Yeah, Blizzard's good. If they did it, they'd come at it.
Do it right.
Well, our name is attached to this. If it's, guess who's going to freak out if it doesn't work? Perfect.
Literally everybody. Is the difference between a free pirate server that no one expects to work properly and a Blizzard server that people expect to run flawlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two total. It's like it's a double standard there. It's two totally different.
It's completely
standards,
different things. False
and you
equivalency.
definitely can't compare the two. Yeah, it's a sucky situation, but I mean, the rules is the rules, and like
Again, to remind you, it's literally software piracy. You know, we just want to remind you of that. Like, unfortunately, I don't know why it was that people expected me to support this. It's like, no, I can't publicly support piracy. What the fuck are you talking about? That's crazy. I get why people want to play it. Trust me, I do. You know, do you think I don't have the little nostalgia bumps every now and again? Or it's like, I want to go back and play Vanilla WoW? Because I remember playing that. It was one of the best times of my life. But ultimately, I don't think I'd have the same experience if I did. You know? I don't think that would happen. I understand why people want to do it. But ultimately, Blizzard, who owns the IP, doesn't seem to think there's enough of a market to it to justify the cost, which I imagine would be exorbitant, of sorting something like that out.
It's not worth it for them to put so much effort and resource into making a vanilla server. They're not going to do it.
And they gave us, when they did their 10-year anniversary, they gave us a little bit of like, oh, here's Molten Core. Here's what Molten Core was like. And oh, we're going to do like. They're willing to. It clearly is like, I don't know. I haven't heard them say this, but it clearly is like a company policy. Like, look, we're gonna keep moving forward and keep creating new things. This is what we do, and we're not gonna go back. And they've gone out of their like they give people little things here and there. Like, hey, here's some of what you used to love. Like, isn't that cool? And you know, this is just one of those situations that I feel like they're trying a lot, and they're not gonna make the people who want this nostalgia server, they're not gonna be happy no matter what happens here. So it's unfortunate, it sucks, but it's I mean that's just the way it is. Sorry guys, like it
is.
It's shitty, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, and it also unfortunately is the way that the Blizzard, well, not even just Blizzard, just generally software licensing works. You know, yes, you buy it's like people like, well, I bought the disc. Yeah, and you own the disc. You don't own the IP that's on it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, look at the when you.
That's not. I kind of wish that it worked that way, but simultaneously, things would probably go to hell if it did.
Look at every. I would say almost every MMORPG's box. If you bought the box, not the digital thing, but the box, somewhere in there, it literally, even though my camera totally froze. Hi.
It did, yeah, which is weird, but hey, I can still hear you though.
I'm so thinking, yeah.
Indeed.
Somewhere in there is some type of message that says like the content that it could change. The stuff you're buying right now,
especially in MMO, yeah.
It's like what you bought on this disc probably will change, and that's all part of that. Like, look, the idea is they are going to change things, and that's how they work. And
but Jesse, there's a petition. There's a petition.
Well, if there's a petition, then
50,000 signatures on it. They can't just, I don't have my glasses on. They can't just ignore it. I mean,
yes, they can, because signing a petition online
totally
takes no effort at all. You know, and even then, as we said, even if they wanted to do it, we don't know how technically feasible it is. Now, and it is, as you said, MMOs, when you buy into an MMO, you're part of that agreement is that it is going to change. You are not going to have the same experience that you had 8 years ago. If you don't want that to happen, don't buy MMOs. You know?
There you are. Hi, Jessup.
Oh, great. You swap position with Dodger now. You're staying in Dodger's window. I'm not moving you anymore.
I'm Dodger.
Hey, I'm Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're pretty much, they've already answered the petition anyway in that statement that I read off 10 minutes ago, you know?
Yeah,
swap. Good times. Sorry. Continue.
It feels to me, and it sucks, because it feels to me that most of the anger is coming from people that probably were never attached to that server to begin with. People who saw a internet, like a movement,
a bandwagon they wanted to kind of jump on.
And it changed. Like, I truly am just like, the outrage came much after the fact.
It did, yeah.
Everyone jumped on. It's like, okay, where were you when...
Where were you when this was going on? You know, a lot of people got very upset after it got shut down. They didn't get upset prior to it. You know, they didn't push back prior to it. You know, and I'm aware that the people who were playing on Nostalrius did. But as you said, even if we believe those stats of 150,000 active accounts, that means 100,000 more people signed the server that never played on, signed the petition that never played in the server.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder how many of those are just ex-jaded WoW players that signed it on principle, as opposed to anything else, and think, oh yeah, I'd love a vanilla server at some point. Maybe you would.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe you would, but I don't know.
Like I said at the very beginning, like that's the thing that's been asked to Blizzard and every BlizzCon I've ever been to. Always,
and they're not willing to do it.
Vanilla. And they've always said no, and no one's ever like, well, I'm going to start a petition. No one's ever done that after that was answered no. Because people are like, all right, well, that sucks, but we get you. This feels like one of those things where it was a few people were kind of pissed and like, you know what, this doesn't seem fair to us. We put in a lot of work to this, and that sucks. That happens all the time. That happens to videos we upload that are immediately copyrighted, and we're like, I put a lot of work into it. That sucks. I can't do a shitty thing about it. Sorry.
Unless you want to go to court, in which case, have fun with that. Have fun with Blizzard's lawyers. Yeah. As to whether or not they are right about not supporting some sort of legacy content, I personally on the side of yes. I think you should support some sort of legacy content. And because I believe that WoW went downhill after TBC. I would prefer to go back and play The Burning Crusade.
You don't like Wrath was my favorite.
Wrath is where everything started to go wrong. I mean, there were definitely some things in Wrath that I liked, but
wrong.
If I could have my way, I'd love to go back and play the TBC in the same way that I did, or more accurately, just have a way in which you could do that with phasing or something along those lines. Like, make sure that the experience that you get to play through to the end of TBC is the experience that we got playing it at the time. I think that there's the unfortunate reality of any MMO, especially when you make these areas irrelevant after you got the next expansion, and you make them ghost towns. And that was always the way. I would love for the Outland to be super populated again and be super relevant to everybody again, and I guess it is going to be in Legion in some form, but they're going to change things. It's not going to be the same. And that sucks, but simultaneously, that's also what you sign on for when you get an MMO.
Like I said, it says on the box.
You didn't buy Dragon Age. You didn't buy a game that's not going to change. You bought into a game that does change. And as a result, unfortunately, I think that if anything, that's an unwritten contract that you signed up to. You agreed that was how it was going to work. And now, you're back in saying, oh god, I wish that it didn't go that way, but it did, and it was predictable. And I think Blizzard's explanation is relatively sound. I don't know how much legal water it holds, but what I can tell you for a fact is that they own the fucking IP, and they can tell people to a greater or lesser extent what you're allowed to do with it. So I know some people are competitors like, oh, well, what about emulating a console? Isn't that the same thing? No. I assume not. Emulating a console doesn't use any of those assets. The part of the license of using World of Warcraft is that you do so with a subscription. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. They're running a server which essentially has assets on it as well. It's stupidly complicated, and I don't think anyone, including us, fully understands the discussion. We need actual lawyers to talk about it, because it's a very gray area, really fucking gray area. It's something that people have not gone to court to investigate yet.
I don't think it's something that you can even compare to emulating like a console system.
Well, no, because you're emulating hardware, not software, right?
Well, not only that, you can still play those things, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a totally different conversation, because what
you can own a PS2 and just put your disc in.
Not play vanilla WoW anymore.
No, you can't. No.
Play it anywhere. It's not like when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get an emulator for the old Sega Genesis Aladdin game that I still own in my garage somewhere and can totally play.
Yeah, and there's a reason. There are legal protections exist for emulators for that reason, because they want you to still. But that is the weird argument, isn't it? Because someone's going to turn around and say, "Well, I own the original vanilla WoW disc and I can't play it anymore." I was like, "Well, yeah, you're right, but unfortunately, that's part of the agreement that you sign up to when you get an MMO, that the content is going to change. That content on that disc is not relevant anymore. It doesn't function anymore. You can't use it." And you can argue, I should be able to emulate it, but then you get onto, license agreement, and again, the kind of rights that Blizzard has over its own property. And even if Blizzard didn't have those rights, don't you think they probably should? Because they designed a game that was designed around a subscription model, And that's how they keep their servers running, and that's the conditions under which they license you to use those assets in that form. If you bypass that, that is piracy, one way or the other. You can try to kind of snake your way out of it, but I think that if you ask most people, they'd say, yeah, that kind of is piracy. Isn't it? You know? Even if it wasn't, you know, can't you just argue, well, that's kind of that's using a ROM, necessarily. And then you say, oh, well, you know, I own the disc. Yeah, but it's not, the disc didn't matter with the MMO. You didn't own anything. There wasn't even anything on the disc, you know, because the server is a key component to everything that's on that disc.
The server is the game.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, you had assets installed on your PC, so you didn't have to stream them down, but it's not the same situation at all. You know, and I don't know if my analogies are right or wrong, because the situation is so fucking complicated. I'm not going to pretend to know everything about this situation.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone
just make
does.
videos on the internet.
No, we're not lawyers, and neither are you, more to the point. You know, the people saying, well, you know what's going on. You really don't.
No. Don't say that, because somebody in there's like,
I
I'm
actually
actually an IP lawyer. It's like, oh, okay. In which case, I defer to your judgment. But if you are not a seasoned intellectual property lawyer with a specialty in the digital space, then I'd strongly recommend not making authoritative statements on the matter. But, I mean, yeah, okay, the whole thing's sad, you know, and I have no ill will towards Nostalrius or anyone that played on it. Why would you? You know, they just wanted a different experience. But I also have no ill will to Blizzard for protecting their intellectual property. And I have no ill will for them for saying we can't create the server environment that we had 10 years ago. You know, and even if we could, maybe it would be too expensive to justify it, or we just don't want to. You know, one thing that people don't consider is that what about the rights of the creator and the artist to present the world in the way that they want it to be presented? They clearly think, rightly or wrongly, that this current version of WoW is the best version of their world right now. A world that they own, that they created.
And
they have the right
to play that version.
They do.
I mean, I dare not attempt to get in the head of Metzen, but I imagine this is like, this is the game they want you to play. That's why it has become this way. And they don't want you to play old vanilla WoW, because that's not the game they want to present to the world. And that's just like the way it is. That's how this works.
Well, technically, vanilla WoW doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's gone. Like it. And
the version that the Nostalrius was playing is not exactly the same as what was back then. That's not actually vanilla WoW, if you think about it. It is a interpretation of vanilla WoW. Yeah, it's using most of the assets. It's not exactly the same, though. You know, they have the right to change it, rightly or wrongly. You know, you can argue George Lucas had the right to change Star Wars. Was he wrong to do it? Probably, but it's his right.
Was it wrong for them to put in walkie-talkies in ET instead of guns? Rightly or wrongly, doesn't matter. They have the right to do that. And it's this kind of thing that, you know, this week and a little bit last week, when everyone's emailing me, and I'm sure you guys probably got the same.
We got fucking hundreds of emails on this. But, you know, I didn't want to even talk about this.
I didn't respond to one. I didn't talk about it at all, because in my reality, I'm not sure what it's like with the rest of the internet, but in my reality, this is like the case closed. There's no big argument here. It sucks. That's
yes,
not,
it sucks. Yeah.
If you play on a server, that sucks for you. But what you were doing was illegal, and Blizzard has the right to do this. So
it was probably going to happen eventually.
Yeah. What am I going to add to this besides what a number of videos did, which was like, oh boy,
there's a lot of about it.
I'm gonna get a lot of internet money from this. Like, that's all that happened. I was like,
yeah, I mean, and I get some people who are like legitimately passionate about it, like JonTron, and then there's a bunch of other people that clearly did not give a fuck, but just wanted to make some money off the drama, and fuck those people.
There was a lot of people who just out of nowhere were like, here's my opinion. I was like, cool, all right.
Do you even play World of Warcraft? Probably not. You know.
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, that's cool and all, but I have no opinion on the matter, because it's not my place to have an opinion, because it's the law. Like, it sucks, but it's the law. So
yeah, I mean, it's it brings up various other topics, like and you know, things that I'm passionate about, like games preservation, for instance. But I think MMOs are this weird and awful unique case, and maybe are broken by design in that regard, that MMOs consistently change. And then if we're talking about the preservation of an MMO, what version? 1.1, 1.2, 2.1, 3.1? Which version? All of them? None of them? Some weird hybrid? how do we preserve an MMO, and at what point do you say this is the version we want to keep?
Right, and
You
even
know?
though it's a slippery slope argument, what I'm about to say, when you're like, oh, we have vanilla, then there's going to be people like TB who are like,
Well, I want TBC. Vanilla was shit, by the way.
Yeah.
By the way, vanilla was shit. Just want to point that out. If you don't think vanilla was shit,
absolutely,
you have an
100%.
adult mind. TBC was fucking the best. Easy.
Yeah.
And he thinks Wrath was the best, you know?
Yeah, I think Wrath was the best TB. So I'd be like, "Where's my Wrath server?"
Yeah.
I loved the story in Wrath. I loved the fact that I could do it solo.
Where's my Pandaria server? Wait, nobody
Right.
wants that.
And you know, there's going to be people who want all these different things. And it's just going to be a mess for Blizzard to give into. It's just trouble. It's just one of those things that it's better for them to be like no and flat out just say no than deal with all the other hassle that comes with saying yes once, which sucks. So, you just have to accept it as it is and take this.
Well, I mean, I don't think they have to accept it. I think that protesting it and putting up a petition and everything is fine, but they have to also accept at that point, that's as far as they can go with it. Like, what can you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you can boycott the company. You can take them somehow to court, maybe through some kind of class action, or good luck with that. You can talk and you can protest online, and that is your right as a consumer, and you should do it if you feel like that's the right thing to do. But I don't know. Expectations is what we're looking for. Temper your expectations. Nothing is going to happen, most likely, from you doing this.
Actually, if anything, what would happen is by the end of a class action lawsuit, we would have a definitive answer on what like an MMORPG stands for as like content. Like,
here's the thing: you might not like the answer.
You might.
They may rule against you, and if they do that, that's precedent. And now you're fucked. Now you're super fucked.
That is the dangerous thing about all of that, is that once they're like, oh, apparently we really need to make this set in stone.
We need to rule on it. Yeah.
Can fuck things over in the future.
And there goes all your other servers for all your other games.
Yep.
You want people going to jail or getting sued out of existence for it because it's potentially that would be what would happen if there was a precedent set. I'm pretty sure there are some precedents set because didn't they do it against botting and things like that? I know there's an issue with the EU where the EU laws for software licensing are different to the US. That complicates things even further, by the way. And I'm pretty sure that Blizzard actually lost the case in the EU a few years ago with regards to software licensing. It's all fucking crazy. It's all I'll just say is it's sad, and I understand why people wanted to play on it, If people come and yell at me after this for saying this, even though I didn't want to discuss it, then go fuck yourself. That's going to be my response to all of these fucking requests in future. Because I know all of us got bombarded on this subject. Because we're ex-WoW players or connected to Blizzard in some way. Everyone's like, give us your fucking opinion, you fuck! It's like, whoa! I haven't played WoW in 4 years. Why do you want my opinion? I don't want to talk about this.
I logged in yesterday. I'm a giant nerd. No, I missed something. Like, I did not like Pandaria. I hated that expansion.
Yeah.
Some of Warlords, I'm like, all right, Facebook game. Like, a lot of this new stuff, I'm like, this is not for me.
Good.
Other things are awesome, like the new art assets and the new there's a lot in the game they keep adding that I'm like, that's really cool. But it's their game. They can do whatever the hell they want with it, and it's your right as a consumer to be like, well, this isn't for me. I'm leaving. And that's how that works.
Yeah, that's your basic consumer right is stop giving them your money.
Yeah.
Which is a right that more people should fucking exercise, frankly. I'm not just talking about Blizzard, I'm talking about any company. The amount of you that keep throwing money at Ubisoft despite the fact that they keep releasing games that you don't actually like blows my mind. Stop it. Stop pre-ordering whatever next AAA game they have, You want power as a consumer? Then you've got to resist buying whatever it is that they're trying to market to you. That's your power as a consumer, to not give your money to them.
Yeah. And they're still the biggest MMORPG out there, so there are apparently people who like what they create. And that's just... There you go.
I guess that's our opinion on it, And I guess a lot of people are going to get mad about that, and I'll tell them to go fuck themselves, because I'm sick of it. Whatever, Don't be careful what you wish for, when you ask for what we've got to say on subjects.
Before you get mad at any of us, ask why you're mad. Like, reflect for a minute.
Who are you actually mad at?
Why you're angry. Why are you mad? Is it because...
Are you angry at us, or are you actually angry at yourself?
Oh. Wow.
The answer is actually yourself. Just spoiler. It's your
I mean,
ad.
that
It's your
or
ad.
U.S. intellectual property law. You could be mad at
one
that
of the
too.
two. Yeah.
One way or the other, we didn't write that, so maybe back the fuck off. Okay. Or we'll get a couple of those PAX enforcers. They've got some spare time. They'll dust you up.
Yeah, they got nothing to do until the next PAX. So
Yep.
Kick your ass.
Yep. Like one of the girls was guarding us. Fucking gonna murder you. Look, she's gonna crush your head between her arms like this. Rah. Scary.
like this? That's
Like
terrifying.
this. Yeah, like that.
Real talk. The ones you got to watch out for the utility kilt guys. Those
Oh
dudes,
yes, watch out for them.
You might be like, oh, nice kilt. They're like, motherfucker, I will break you. Oh, shit. Those are my guys. I see them. I'm like, dude. We got each other.
me. You follow me.
I love those guys.
Yeah.
I'll make it worth your while.
I watched a guy get thrown out, actually, that ducked under the yellow rope to try and, like, skip the line for our panel, and one of the forces just fucking shoved him back out. It's like, yeah.
Yes. If you were the guy who got thrown out and you're really sad.
Yeah, we're really sorry. We're really sorry. But
We're kind of sorry about that. But
Why did you
yeah,
do that?
but stop doing that. Yeah, quit it. Stop.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Yeah, stop doing that. Nice fun little story before we do releases, by the way. Nice quick one. ESL banned the esports team that was sponsored by YouPorn.
I know. They were like, I don't know if we should have porn associated. They let that go for a long time, though.
They actually did.
did.
I give them credit for that. There are actually some leagues that do not have that problem, but it's not... Oh, fuck, man. Come on. ESL is corporate sponsored to the high heavens. They're now one of the biggest, if not the biggest esports league in the world, outside of Riot's own internal thing.
It's all PR and
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course they would.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's all about just like, oh well, we don't. I mean, we're trying to get on the ESPNs now. We don't need the porn, which is like, all right, cool. But you were taking like their money stuff was involved before that though. Just so we're all, all right, sure, we get it, but
yeah. As sad, unfortunately, the reality of it, especially in the United States, is that pornography is still considered to be a vice and not good and
a vile sinful
a vile thing. Despite the fact that almost everybody fucking watches it and it's clearly like a massively two-faced thing, and the people that banned them no doubt also watch porn every fucking night. ESL, I have no doubt.
Oh, we know.
We know what those fat pipes are for. Don't worry. When you're not using them for your tournaments, we know exactly what's going on over there at ESL headquarters. But
everyone knows ESL's known for hardcore pornography.
ESL are a bunch of wankers, let's be honest. I'm never going to be hired by them again at this point. That's fine. They pay shit anyway. But one way or the... I'm definitely not getting hired now. Anyway, it's okay. I've got DreamHack still. But it's not in any way surprising at all that this would eventually happen, especially when they've got connections with TV and everything like that. I personally think it's fucking stupid. There is nothing wrong with fucking porn. It's a legitimate website. Everyone watches that shit. It's a legitimate business. It makes a ton of money, especially in the United States. We absolutely should not be stigmatizing it or the people involved in it.
I will put you at the front of all my videos. Like, look, if you want to jerk it before you watch this.
And you know what? You'll get banned from YouTube for it, most likely. That's the problem.
Yeah, but it'll be worth it. An idiot banned for promoting porn.
You can't get banned for just having the YouPorn logo on a video.
I think if you were being sponsored by them, it's quite likely that you would.
Let's test it, YouPorn. Let's test it.
Let me put it this way. Let's see if you can find an example of a channel that's actually sponsored by YouPorn.
No one's brave enough.
No, probably not. I think it will be very much a one-shot deal, maybe. But yeah, I do not think that YouTube would let that go for that long. Honestly, I do not. Yeah, again, it sucks. But I'm not going to blame ESL for that because they're tied to so many corporate sponsors that are not okay with that. And ultimately they're doing what the money says they have to do. And it's sad. Maybe when we're all 80 or 90 years old and in our rocking chairs, we'll see a time when it will be acceptable for a site like YouPorn to be on someone's sports jersey.
But I'll have my sex robot by then, so I won't give a damn.
I mean, I guess, yeah. YouPorn's gone out of business. Everyone's gonna have their own sex robot, so they don't need it.
Sex bots. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I believe there is actually strictly in their terms of service you're not allowed to do that. But yeah,
Not allowed to have
sucks.
sex
But
bots?
No,
No sex bots,
have a
yes.
YouTube sponsorship from a porn site. That's
Well, good. Look, that's fine as long as I get my sex bots.
pretty sure you're not allowed to do that. but,
Plural.
Yeah.
Plural sex bots.
Uh-huh.
I'm just surprised they were able to go as long as they were. Hey.
Hey, I
Hey.
got it.
Guys.
Hey, I got the
Yeah.
joke.
It's all editing. It's all editing. Editing and drugs. Don't worry about it.
The porn?
You know, I actually
The
watched an interesting documentary about VR porn. By the way, in terms of that, this is actually related to what you were saying about editing. Apparently, VR porn is a hell of a lot harder to make because you can't edit it as
Don't
much.
say.
Well, I mean, the setup is very simple. It's like the camera is like this sort of globe thing that, you know, films like 180 or 210 degrees or something like that view.
Sure.
And apparently they've got to sort of be careful about where they stand and stuff like that, and how the performers have to lean back a lot, supposedly, because otherwise they're giant in everyone's face, like, what the fuck, I can't see anything. But the main thing was there was this woman who was the, like, producer on it, and she was explaining the science behind the filming of it. And there's a ton of problems with editing the porn, because if you do too many hard cuts, you see what I mean? Hard cuts. Then you
get it.
I got that joke.
Dodger's face is like, what the fuck? You make people motion sick. Because, of course, you break the
sure.
perspective all the time. So you've got to actually do the whole thing kind of as one, or the edit's got to be really good. Like, you've got to make sure if they're, you know, going round two, that the person's right back in exactly the same place for the edit. It's apparently really fucking technical and difficult to do. So there you go.
That doesn't surprise me.
Look, they're spending so much money to make that work. I can't wait. The
I
future's
feel
great.
like you'd also.
I don't know why you're talking about can't wait. It's been going for 2 years. You can easily get
You know
it.
what I'm saying? Like
Well-
all the time and energy they're putting into, like, we have to make this porn.
Figuring out how to do it, yeah.
Yes, it's gonna.
Yeah,
that's
they're
gonna
learning
pay dividends.
brand new direction techniques, which could actually
Yes,
end
that's
up being
gonna pay
applied to other
dividends
things.
down the line to everything else.
It
Everything
actually
else
will,
gonna
yeah.
benefit.
Mhm.
Well, wouldn't you need like a little crotch strap? Because like, wouldn't it be kind of like when TB was saying that when you're walking first person?
I'm
in a
not
game-
kidding being associated with this, but okay, go on.
Like when you're walking first person in a VR game, you feel like motion sick because you're not actually moving. Like,
Are you saying
you're in a-
you feel wiener sick?
yeah, you'll need like the VR headset, but you'll also need like a crotch set so that whatever you're doing with your crotch, like the game knows.
So
right?
they explained this as well in the documentary. I don't know if it was Wired or I don't know who it was that did the documentary, but if you look at it on YouTube, they explained. So the porn is basically filmed from if it's you know the guy and girl. The guy is usually sat in a fixed perspective. He doesn't move. The girl does all the moving.
Okay.
So you don't feel motion sick. Because if he actually was doing the moving, then yeah, you probably would feel motion sick. So yeah, they explained all that. Like the director, she knew a shitload about the fucking filmography and everything like that, and cinematography. It was crazy.
I would love to sit down and talk with her and be like, "How?
She knew
You
a
are
ton of it.
genius.
It was
You're
crazy.
Genius. Tell
Yeah.
me more."
Yeah. So, and as you said, it's going to be weird because I imagine a lot of that stuff is going to end up applying to VR film, concerts, and games at some point. Those techniques. Yeah.
Can you imagine concerts where you just like you get a front row seat, but you don't even have to go to the damn concert?
Ugh.
Holy shit!
The
That sounds
dream.
great.
I mean,
That sounds
they're already launching a service like that. Like, and
Yeah.
I mentioned the thing before with WWE as well, who were thinking of doing it. You know, and again, I would be happy with that. Like, if that would be great, not having to pay to go to you obviously have to pay for the film, but go to a concert, just be able to experience the concert kind of in the crowd. And
Yes.
yeah, that's great. That sounds like great use for the
And
technology.
when some yahoo in the front sits with a big old hat, you're like, I can't move now. I'm stuck here. Or
Well, it would-
somebody, like,
the-
gets so riled up and they stand up, and you're like, fuck, that person stood up. I can't stand up.
Well, I mean, apparently they were going to do it like because they were considering how to do it. They were going to they reserve a seat like in a stadium, and then they have someone like a security guard who guards the camera basically to stop people from getting too close to it. So that's how apparently they're going to do it. So yeah,
Interesting.
it's well, I mean, if you did it in the middle of a crowd, that probably wouldn't work. But if you did it on in a arena seating, it would work.
Oh man.
I
Can't,
mean,
yeah,
you
there's so
you
much
wouldn't get the energy. You know, you wouldn't feel the same sort of energy you feel when you're.
You also
actually
wouldn't get the diseases
at
and all that other
concert.
stuff, So
But-
I'd take it.
Once they have VR moshes, once they like send a dude out there with a 360 camera moshing, That's when I'll get it.
That's where you get motion sick. Jesus. You're gonna match the exact movements of the mosh, otherwise you get super sick.
It'll just be me in my room just jumping. Like
Dance like nobody's watching. Mosh like no one's watching. Just
Mosh like no one's
just
watching.
knock over the crockery and things everywhere. Just shit flying all over the place. Alright, yeah, so we've managed to cover private servers and porn. This was a great news section. Let's go on to releases, shall we, and wrap up the show.
Yeah, do we have the list?
Yeah,
or-
I just posted it in the Skype group. You should be able to grab that. There we go.
Excellent.
I can't wait for how angry people get about the private server discussion. Go fuck yourself. That's going to be the answer to everything for now on.
I'm just looking to make sure. Okay.
Careful
we're
what you
going
wish for.
up to-
Holy shit. Hyper Devotion Noir Goddess Blackheart is currently number 2 on the Steam sales. How is it that Hyper Dimension games do as well as they fucking do? Is it the boobs? It's the boobs, isn't it?
I mean,
It's the
probably.
It's the
I was
best.
gonna guess. We're not there yet, though. TB. All right.
Alright.
April 26th. We've got Seraph. Seraph.
Seraph. It is early access. And it is a skill-based acrobatic shooter without aiming. Taking the role of an angel who's fighting to restore her lost power. I mean, I could see quite a lot of aiming in this, actually. Although, I wonder if it auto-aims for you. Because it seems to be mostly focused on you doing the backflips and the cool shit. I think maybe the game might auto-aim for you. Which is interesting.
Next up is called Maui, but I can't find it.
Okay. Oh, alright, that's interesting spelling. Oh, yeah, it's right there on Steam. Yeah,
On Steam?
Yeah, every single game on the... by the way, I probably shouldn't have to tell you this because we've been doing this for years, but I look up all these games on Steam and they all pop up every time. So,
Every time.
instead of using Google, because Google will find you all sorts of random shit.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a guy here with a giant pig. He's carrying a huge pig. Maui is a free action adventure based on Hawaiian mythology. Features an innovative stat grid that lets you switch stats on the fly, and one of the screenshots is a Hawaiian dude carrying a giant pig. So that is Maui, it would seem.
Great. Next up is Hyper Devotion Noir Goddess Blackheart.
Yes, which is a
It's
chibi...
a Hyper Dimension game.
It's a chibi-style strategy role-playing. So it's an SRPG tactics kind of Fire Emblem-ish kind of thing. In the Hyper Dimension Neptunia series, yes.
Next up is Caveman Worlds, Mountains of Unga Bunga.
I'm so disappointed that title did not produce a game that was fitting of such a great title.
This looks awful, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like a really bad version of Chuck Rock. But the main problem is they decided against all common sense to make it in 3D, and I can't distinguish the foreground from the background because it all looks like shitty Unity assets. So, who is Unga Bunga? You know what? I do not have any interest in finding out. Why is it that Unga Bunga sounds racist even though cavemen don't exist anymore?
I don't know.
I don't know. It seems like I shouldn't be saying that word. Right.
Next up on April 27th, Fragmented. Stranded in a hostile alien world, you must fight to survive, hunt, harvest, craft, advance skills, and build.
Again. All right.
Early access survival game.
But it has a fucking
But
tank in it.
aliens.
There's a tank in it. Graphically, this looks amazing. I bet it's not going to be...
Graphics look great.
It's obviously Unreal 4, I think. It's not going to be anywhere near as good as that, no doubt, but that looks beautiful. There's a fucking tank, and you build, like, a space base and shit.
And you don't have to play online. You can play.
Oh, okay. Now I'm interested. So it's not just, some fucker can gank you and blow up your shit. All right. Hey, maybe this is the first early access survival game I actually try and play. Because this kind of looks pretty neat, I've got to admit. Next
up, Falling Stars, War of Empires.
Generic, space generic. By the sounds of it, it's... Oh dear. Alright, it looks... And actually, this looks alright. It's a fast-paced 4X strategy game, apparently. Command hundreds of ships in battle, do political stuff. The ground battle stuff looks awful, but the space stuff looks okay. They could have come up with maybe a better name that doesn't sound like every sci-fi game ever, though.
Next up is The East New World. It looks like it used to be or started off as an app game. It's a retro-inspired action platformer.
Yay.
It has those graphics that look very like
Very mobile.
app. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely looks like an app. No doubt about that. Whether or not it actually was, that's a different matter entirely. Google will tell me it was. Yes, reviewed in... It's actually quite a recent one. It was given a 4 out of 5 by Touch Arcade, but admittedly, to get a 4 out of 5 on Touch Arcade, you basically need to be able to load the game, and that's about it. So, next.
Next up, Wailing Heights.
Wailing Heights. One is going to assume...
Wailing Heights.
This involves wolves. A body-hopping musical adventure game. This... Oh! The story's by the guy that did Hector Badge of Carnage, which was a pretty fun... police comedy point-and-click game. Jesse, this looks like it might be up your alley. Like, have you seen the art style on this?
Now. Yeah, this looks great.
Yeah. Oh, that looks pretty cool.
What the hell it's about, but it looks cool.
Well, there's your Fan Friday sorted out. That's, yeah, it's like, it's all about werewolves who play music, apparently, and stuff like that. Some of the artists include the guy who did Preacher, The Revenant, one of the Judge Dredd artists, and the guy who did Hitman. That's cool. That looks interesting. Yeah, Wailing Heights. There you go.
Next up is Townopolis. TB, guess what this game is?
I mean, it sounds like a management game, right?
But I guess what site?
Clicker!
Is it a clicker?
It's a Big Fish game.
No, it isn't.
It is.
It's published by Lonely Troops.
What? But it's on Big Fish.
Yeah, but it's on Big Fish just to buy, or did they publish it? Because according to Steam, it's published by Lonely Troops.
Oh, weird.
Huh. Well, there you go. I would not have predicted that as a Big Fish game one way or the other, because it does not look like one. As to whether or not it's a management game or, as Jesse said, a clicker, I don't know. But apparently there's certain scenarios you have to play through. So I assume it is actually a strategy, like, management game of some sort. It's just, you never know these days. Oh, it was also released in 2008, so I have no idea why exactly it's coming out in 27 hours.
It's gonna be great!
Yeah, next.
Next up is Pico Park, in all caps.
How do you spell Pico exactly?
P-I-C-O.
P-I-C-O. Pico Park in all caps. It is a cooperative local multiplayer puzzle game for 2 to 10 players. It seems like you've got to stack up a bunch of colored cats in order to reach your goal.
Yep.
From what I can tell.
Depending on the amount of players, the key that you need in order to open the door, the location changes.
Yeah. It's one of those games where your smartphone becomes your gamepad, by the way. So that's how you can play with 10 people. And I love that technology, by the way. I think that's a great tech that should be used more. That's definitely a game I'd want to play on a television, though, not my computer. All right, next.
Next up is called The Orphan Dreams. It's a permadeath adventure game combined with RPG elements. The art is, like, not great, but
not brilliant. That's very MS Paint, yeah.
It's hard to tell what the actual, like, what the game is like, you know?
Yeah, the description of the game, it's like old school style gaming rules. No checkpoints, no retries, no mercy. I'm sorry, like, old school games had checkpoints. I remember them being in Sonic and various other things, but, yeah, 2 full chapters. Really? Okay, what does that mean? Fight with monsters and loot chests with random items, eat, sleep, and explore the orphanage. Yeah, this is not too... I don't understand, for the most part. Like, it doesn't really explain itself very well, like you said.
Yeah. The next game is called North, in all caps. North!
You see, this is actually a problem, because unfortunately there are a lot of games with the word North in them on Steam, and finding this one... Oh, there he is, North in all caps. Interesting. Dealing with the issue of contemporary refugee crisis while at the same time being deeply rooted in classic cyberpunk atmosphere, North features a dark synth-pop soundtrack, a sprawling megacity, and weird monster-like inhabitants. What it doesn't do is tell you exactly what the fuck it is. It's exploration and puzzles, first person. It's a 20 to 40 minute game, very, very short. But it's supposed to, like, kind of, it's supposed to convey a message about the modern day refugee crisis, but in a sort of cyberpunk setting via metaphor. Which is interesting. Since it's like 20 to 40 minutes, I might end up playing that. But it seems like it's mostly kind of walking sim with a little bit of puzzling.
Next game is called Emerge: Cities of the Apocalypse.
I can't tell. appears this game's trying to be like 3 different games. I can't tell what is. There's a SimCity element, and there's also like
there's a shooter element, side-scrolling. I mean, this doesn't look too bad. Definitely looks quite complex.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's got some kind of like team-based defense component to it, but it's also got the city building and management. You know, I've always liked the idea of post-apocalyptic city building. Have you played Rebuild? Like, I think on Steam there's a game called Rebuild 3, like Gangs of the Dead or whatever. It's a really cool sort of survival city builder, choose-your-own-adventure-ish kind of game, where you choose, like, I want to go and reclaim the school, and I have to, like, fortify it, and I've got to deal with, like, the different personalities of my survivors and stuff. That was pretty cool. It's also available on mobile. It's very good there, too. This game looks like it might be taking some inspiration from that, but it looks like it's got some weird, like, real-time combat elements, too, so... I mean, it looks interesting.
Yeah.
Next.
April 28th, Snooker Nation Championship. The word snooker always makes me think that it's a bad word.
It's because that's not a real word. It's snooker. Snooker's the word.
Snooker?
Snooker.
That's
Ask Strip what it
way
is.
worse.
Ask Strip if it's snooker or snooker, because he'll tell you it's snooker.
Sounds like it has to do with vaginas. For
I
some
mean,
reason.
Snooky is where you're getting that from, probably.
Maybe.
You know, because she is a giant vagina.
Oh, you're thinking of Snooki.
Yes.
Girl got that snooker.
Oh, I don't know. Snooker? That just sounds... Not that there's anything
Snooker.
wrong with vaginas, guys, but like
Well,
snooker
no.
just sounds like a bad word.
I was going to say, like, half of people have them, so they can't be that bad, right? Next. What that had nothing to do with what that game at all. We're sorry,
All right.
developers of snooker. Next.
Secrets of Deep Earth Shrine.
Secrets of...
I feel like we've had that on the list before.
That sounds familiar. Yeah, that's the one that was kind of Terraria / Spelunky / SteamWorld Dig kind of thing. Yeah.
Cool. Next up is Tale of Wuxia. Wuxia.
Wuxia.
Tale of Wuxia.
I can't. The screenshots for this game are showing 2 different games. It has to be.
I don't think so. I mean, it looks like it's a Korean or Chinese game.
But like the avatars for some characters are like totally. I don't know.
There's like no artistic like thread through it.
Yeah, about halfway through, you get to like sort
Yeah,
of
it is Chinese.
chibi-ish characters, and then the rest of it looks like a completely different drawing
In
style,
3D,
whatever.
yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, there's a mixture of like sort of Romance of the Three Kingdoms style, and then some weird sort of anime stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lack of thematic consistency between the two. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. The actual game itself, is a role-playing game, apparently. Or some description. I love this feature. Number 6, the number of girls a character can have relationship with has been increased to more than 10.
Thank God.
Thank God. That was just, 9, just not enough.
I was
Never
worried.
enough. I'm very concerned. Next.
The next one isn't a game. It's called Big Screen Beta, and it's a VR thing that allows you to see your friend's desktop. If you look at the screenshots, it's...
Yeah, it's another, because there's already something like this called Virtual Desktop. People are developing different versions of it. But yeah, you can do this with your friends. So, as weird as this sounds, I think there's actually some legitimacy in this software, especially when you use it to watch movies, because it creates a kind of virtual big screen. And then you log into it with your friends, and you see kind of this weird disembodied head next to you. You can also use it to do split-screen gaming, and you can look to the side, and the dude's actually there next to you.
That's
kind of doing
cool.
virtual. Yeah, I think there's applications for watching movies together, split screen gaming, co-op, and like watching esports tournaments and stuff. Like I know there's some tech being developed that you're gonna be in like a virtual crowd, and you can see all the different players and everything. I think that potentially that could be really cool. So yeah, I'm going to check the beta out for this because I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go. Apparently, you can even emulate an IMAX screen, which is pretty neat. And you can have up to 4 of your friends kind of in there, and it's got positional audio chat. So you can literally all get in VR if you're in different places in the country. I know that sounds kind of sad, but for me, who lives in North Carolina, not next to like any of you or anything like that, I don't get to see you guys that
We
often.
can all hang out in the same
This
room.
would not be awful. This would be great for playing a board
And
game.
watch kazoo videos.
No, we're not watching the fucking kazoo video.
Ah.
Fuck, Jesus.
Next
next.
up is called Neon Chrome.
Yeah.
Looks kind of like, I could be wrong. It looks kind of like Neon Hotline Miami. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like.
Hotline Miami was already pretty neon.
Yeah,
Well,
apparently it's a top-down cyberpunk shooter with RPG elements, because of course it does. Apparently you can blow through walls with your guns and the cyber abilities and things. Yeah. The presentation I'm not 100% sold on. Also releasing a kind of shooter roguelite right now when Gungeon is still around is probably a terrible idea, but hey, there you go.
What can you do? The next game is called
Niflheim.
Oh, fucking hell, that's a spelling and a half, isn't it? I mean, that's gonna be
Is it Vikings?
Nordic.
Is it a Vikings?
Yeah, it's definitely Nordic, yeah.
You battle monsters, build castles, explore dungeons, conquer enemy lands.
This actually looks cool. Have you seen it? It's kind of like a Viking kind of survival Terraria thingy, like you said, where you build castles. It looks a bit like Kingdom, actually, but it's got a lot more detail to it. It is entering early access, so I'd rather wait for it to come out proper, but it actually looks pretty cool. It's also got PvP and co-op, by the way.
Yes.
Next up is called Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa.
That's definitely a war game. Yeah, it is a war game. Yes, very in depth by the looks of it. Not touching that. I'm too much of an idiot to command armies. That's why they don't let me do it. Next.
Well, maybe you'll enjoy Avalon Lords, Dawn Rises. Build great freeform cities and raise powerful armies to defeat your enemies.
This also looks very complicated. My God.
It looks a bit like Total War crossed with Banished, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Again, early access, unfortunately, so not 100% sure if that's going to be any good. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It's got, like, I love things with Siege Warfare and shit, but I'm very gun-shy about Siege Warfare games ever since Stronghold kept fucking up every time they released, so I don't know whether or not it's going to be any good. We'll see.
Well, what about Bunny Bash? The game where you hop around in a three-dimensional space and crush your bunny friends.
What is with all these complicated games?
Yeah, I mean, that's... Jesus Christ. This, Hearts of Iron 4? I mean, why would you do that?
Oh my God. All released at the same time.
It's like Bunny Bash is a epic grand strategy game traversing 500 years of Arabic history by the looks of it. It's quite amusing. Play as the Caliphate. Oh, okay. Maybe not. No, Bunny Bash is actually some weird fucking platform where you flatten bunnies and there's blood everywhere.
You hop on.
You hop on bunnies and they die.
And they die.
It's basically Watership Down. Horrific. Next.
On April 29th, we have Sins of the Demon.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, I think we've seen this before. This is Sins of the Boobies. It had. Remember that was the one where the lust demon was a fucking
had the
passion fruit.
Yeah.
Pomegranate.
Yeah, and then we literally found out it was just an RPG Maker game, basically. After seeing that, yeah, that's weird. Okay, next.
Back in 1995, a throwback to the survival horror and mystery games of the PlayStation.
It looks like it.
Yeah, faithfully recreates everything from the
Sure
forgotten era
does.
of games. And it straight up looks like it, yeah.
It has a really annoying interlacing effect, the way it looks like it was on a really old tube TV, which I do not recall PlayStation games looking like that, I have to admit. But it does look like Alone in the Dark.
It won the Tokyo Game Show 2015 Spark Award. Damn.
That actually is justifiable to check it out then, because Tokyo Game Show don't actually give awards out to just anybody. That's maybe... Apparently it is like super old school and everything. I mean, it's an intriguing idea. I just don't like the interlaced graphics. I think they look really, really awful and don't actually remind me of PlayStation at all.
The trailer for it, it isn't interlaced. So
really? It's just the screenshots. Maybe it's an optional filter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that looks exactly like a fucking PlayStation 1 game. Like, it looks like Alone in the Dark. I mean, I'd say it looks like Resident Evil, but it actually looks worse than that. It looks like Alone in the Dark 1, 2, 3. It looks like it's very slow, fixed camera perspective. I've always found it interesting that we have so many retro-inspired games, and they're mostly like NES or SNES era, and they're not like PlayStation 1 era stuff. I guess it's because PS1 games look terrible. That might have something to do with it.
Next game is Portal Stories Mel, but the VR version, which is probably going to be pretty cool. I really liked Portal Stories Mel.
Yeah, I wonder how motion sickness inducing that is, actually.
Yeah,
because again, a first-person shooter, and you're not in a cockpit or anything. You're going to have to get one of those bikes. The company involved in those bikes actually contacted me, by the way, after we spoke last week.
Really?
Jesse, you might want to talk to them because they may be willing to give you one.
Dude, they sent me one. I have.
Oh,
one.
you have one?
What?
You didn't tell us that. You don't. The thing is, you don't have a Vive, do you?
No, I have. No. They sent me one. I've yet to unpack it. They sent me one. It is. I have an Oculus with it.
Oh.
I'm gonna use it this week.
Oh my god! Film a fucking video. I want to see you bike through a game. I want to do it. Do it.
It's happening. It's happening.
I think I refuse based on the fact that I don't have the space in my office for it. But
I have the space. I got nothing in my house. There's 0 in my house except for this now.
Oh my god.
Excited.
This is gonna be interesting. People like FPS works perfectly in Vive, only if it has actual room scale movement. If it doesn't, if you're sitting down, you will find motion sickness will come to you quickly. Trust me. Been there, done that. Next.
Next up is the VR version of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I actually looked at that. It looks good. It's mostly for Vive. Again, you use your thing as a paddle. It's basically tennis for all intents and purposes, but in a kind of Tron-like world. And you're protecting your car. Like, if you miss, your car blows up. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, it's a miss.
Yeah.
Those are expensive.
I mean, I actually might get that, because I was looking for maybe a kind of tennis-ish sort of game, just for fun. So that one looks like it might be quite cool.
Perfect. Next up is Caretaker Sacrifice.
Those are not 2 words that I would put together usually. The stars are going out. Nobody knows why. Well, that's shit. An elite military team is set on a mission into the cosmos to discover the reason why you are the lone survivor. You have to find out. It's a sort of odd...
The plot looks cool. The graphics and like the screenshots do not demonstrate that plot to me at all.
They do not. It's a 6 Degrees of Freedom game, all right, of which there are a couple of them, so it's kind of Descent-like. It's also voiced by some guy from Stargate Atlantis, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and The Cube. So, there you go. That's interesting.
He was Dr. Rodney McKay! I love Dr. Rodney McKay!
There you go.
That's one of the best characters. I'm playing it.
All right, cool. You got it.
I mean, they
Next.
got me. Voice actor.
Next up is Stealth Labyrinth, which looks like a first-person shooter where you're inside of a labyrinth. It's like
and being stealthy, one assumes?
Game. Yeah. I assume trying to be stealthy, yeah.
It looks a
night
little
vision with the green and all that.
dated, I have to say, unfortunately. Oh god, it's got Oculus support. Fuck that. There's again motion sickness simulator. Next.
Next up is Mind Unleashed.
Mind Unleashed.
This is another VR game.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. They've put kind of a HUD sort of helmet thing on, I assume, to try and reduce the nausea effect on this. If this is actually, it's a Vive. It's for Vive and Oculus Rift. Oh, I think you're in a mech, which would actually help. Definitely.
Sick.
Yeah. All right.
You are a robot. You're a robot trying to escape.
Okay. I might check that out. We'll see. It looks a little dated, I have to admit, especially for VR. But I might give that a try. See how that works out. Next.
Next is called Elite vs. Freedom. It's another first-person shooter. In the near future, the Earth is controlled by a global government. Few dare to resist the neo-feudalistic, corporatist police state.
That's a fucking line.
Yep.
Wow. Neo-feudalistic, corporatist police state. I can't even barely say that. I do like neo-feudalistic is a really cool word. It's a third-person cover-based shooter by the looks of it. Single and co-op. And then there's weird cutscenes which involve a man with barely any clothes on being attacked by a woman in a mask. It does have a bazooka with toxin spray and a sniper rifle with a mace club, which I don't know how that works, but okay. There's a thing.
The next game is called Bibou, B-I-B-O-U, and it looks like one of those games where, like, it looks so happy that I'm waiting for it to turn real dark and terrible. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It looks like the sort of game where suddenly everything turned to blood, right?
It's entirely possible, yeah. So it's otherwise a platformer retro-inspired again. Next.
Next up is Melting Hearts. Our love will grow, too.
It's a farming game.
He's not wrong. Ancient farming secrets must now be unlocked as you're forced to learn crops in winter and make friends and enemies in an equally icy social climate.
Corporation's gonna take over the farm, and everyone in the town has to join together. But it's winter. How can you save a farm during winter?
Ah.
A Yeti.
Well, Yeti would do it.
That's a feature.
Next.
A Yeti. Next.
Next up is called Puzzle Galaxies. I bet it's a puzzle game set in the galaxy.
Groundbreaking puzzle game, apparently. I don't know about that. I don't think the words groundbreaking puzzle game and similar to Bejeweled and Candy Crush should probably be in the same sentence. You must smash jewels in a space station. There is a twist. There are enemies that will come by and try and take matching jewels on you. I don't think that's the word you were looking for there, but...
From?
I'm going to go with from. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like my match 3s. I can't say that this one particularly gets me going, but hey, never mind. Next.
Next up is called Nero. Nothing ever remains obscure.
Does it not?
This is a first-person puzzle game?
Oh my god, this is gorgeous. Have you looked
Yeah,
at the
it looks
screenshots for this?
fantastic.
Holy fuck.
I'm watching the trailer right now.
That is beautiful.
Their outfits are very Tron-esque. It's great.
Oh, is the name of the studio Storm in a Teacup? That's adorable. It's got a little teacup and there's a storm in it.
Yeah, so it's like a first... Oh my god. Well, that ending of that trailer came out of nowhere. That's... Yeah, it's very... It looks...
Mostly seems like a walking simulator, but it has some puzzle games in it as well.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
But the fucking visuals in this thing are
great.
gorgeous. Wow, I get a lot of neon. Apparently today is Neon Day. The trees are what get me. You see those fucking the blue trees?
Wait till the end. Wait till the end. Wait. Go. To
all right,
the end.
I'm skimming to the end. Skim to the end. Skim to the end. You know, again, you can check out all of these games on Steam if you wish. And at the end, that's a jellyfish.
The moon was a giant jellyfish. Yeah.
The entire time.
Yep.
Nothing ever remains obscure.
Nothing remains
The
obscure.
next
There you go.
game is called Mr. Nibbles Forever.
I don't
What?
care. I don't care if this game looks like it's a Flash game. Mr. Nibbles is a wonderful, wonderful character. Look at this. Look at Mr. Nibbles.
It's a fucking hamster. Oh, it's a guinea pig. It's a guinea pig.
He wears different outfits too.
One of them is a Neon Cat outfit. He's in a rock. It's a hamster. It's actually a hamster, yeah. It's an endless runner hamster. Which is what we all truly needed, really.
We needed this.
I agree.
There you go.
Society needed this.
Next.
Next up is called Zombilly.
Zombilly, eh?
Are you a hillbilly zombie?
Billy.
That actually is not coming up on Steam, weirdly enough.
No.
That's a first. Where is it? Oh, it's because it's spelled in a weird way. Okay. That explains it. Zombilly! Help Zombilly reach the legendary meat farm.
Ooh.
A long road ahead, complex 90 levels of puzzles and traps, and you are a zombie, one assumes, called Billy. It is the legendary meat farm. I think we were at the legendary meat farm for dinner a few nights ago, actually. We call it Fogo de Chao. That's the legendary meat farm.
True facts.
Next up is called Police Infinity.
Police Infinity. That's a nightmare and a half, isn't it? Police Infinity is... first-person shooter. Again. It uses terms like less casualized features, which I'm pretty sure is not a real word. It's an early access game. I hope it's kind of like SWAT, but it honestly doesn't look like it. Like, I don't recall, like, SWAT using MP40s, for instance. It's like, that's a World War II gun. It actually looks very basic, sort of, multiplayer shooter that's going into early access. The UI looks god-awful on it. But yeah, it's some kind of hardcore first-person shooter multiplayer.
Oh. Next up is called #KillAllZombies, which is a horde game. But it looks like it has Twitch interaction capability, so your chat can like dynamically change.
Dynamically fuck with you? Yeah.
Yeah, with
That
your
sounds
game.
about right.
April 30th, we have Logic Missile.
Something which a lot of people need fired at them on a regular basis, I think. Action puzzle platformer. You must reach the central core and launch the missile. It looks like... Oh, God, that looks like a ZX Spectrum game. Next
up is called City Z. It's another zombie
You know,
game.
Logic Missile is in early access. By early access, they mean we haven't done any of the graphics yet, because that's what it looks like. Next, sorry, what was it? City Z, yes.
City
Sorry.
Z.
Sorry,
Zombie.
games that look this awful generally make me pretty mad. The virus... Something. The virus appeared 6 months ago. Everyone fucking died. It's a zombie
really-
game. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up is Anisha Elemental Arena.
Wow, this looks very much like the Unspoken game that I played.
Oh yeah, it's a first-person kind of wizardy game.
Mm-hmm.
First-person magic mechanics of Skyrim. I don't know why I'd want to get the magic mechanics of Skyrim, because they weren't actually that good. But it looks like it's like hands, two hands kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't doubt that might be cool. I'm just not sure why you'd want to market it that way, but I guess a lot of people liked Skyrim. I just wasn't one of them. All right, next.
Oh my god, this next game is my shit. It's called Oz Mafia with 2 exclamation points at the end.
Visual novel, is it?
Once upon a time, a girl, her pet dog, and 3 companions made a journey to meet a great wizard who could grant their wishes. But what if the girl hadn't believed that there's no place like home? Like, it's just, it's pretty boys, and it's like a Oz parody visual novel. I'm into it.
Wait.
What?
So basically, the conceit of this story is that if Dorothy, Toto, her 3 companions, on the way to see the wizard, decided to make, like, yeah, dude, we did Mafia. We so cool. And I put in fashionable outfits and, like, just chilled out with the Munchkins.
God, I hope so. I hope that that's what this game is.
The conceit of this, like, we're so cool.
I hope so. Fuck.
Next
up is called Secret of the Royal Throne.
Can I use my powers here?
Sure.
Because that name sounds like it might be a hidden object game.
Is it?
Is it?
An object game?
Is
I don't
it?
know. I haven't
No.
looked.
Someone search. I'm still holding my hand out. I can't type. My hand's getting tired.
It looks like it.
Well, is it?
Looks like you might be right. Hidden object adventure. Yep.
Yeah! Got it. Still got it. Still fresh. All right. You can tell by the names. They're always so generic. All right.
Next up is Cubium Dreams, an atmospheric first-person puzzle game with horror elements.
Of course, with horror elements.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you have in your atmospheric first-person puzzle game, right?
When I'm solving puzzles, the last thing I need is horror.
Yeah, it's like puzzles, blood from the ceiling. Right.
Yay!
All right.
Next up is called Selenon Rising.
How the fuck do you spell that? Oh, yes, okay. Selenon Rising. Can we have a ban on using the word rising in games titles?
Please.
No.
Name a good game that had the word rising in it.
I'm looking one up right now. What about, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Dead Rising.
Okay, cool. I'll give you that. That's allowed. Everyone,
Yeah!
everything else is banned.
One.
Everything else is banned. An all-powerful race has conquered the Earth, and you work for them. Okay. As Violet, a psychic agent who can read emotions, you must solve crimes in order to discover the truth that could potentially save or destroy the human race. Yeah, there's It seems a little Phoenix, right? You can question, present, object, and they have like different emotions, and I think you're supposed to like convince people to tell you the truth and everything. That might be interesting for you, Dodger. Like, it looks like it's kind of part visual novel, part detective. So it seems like it might be right up your alley.
I'm into that.
Cool.
Next game is called State of Anarchy.
State of Anarchy.
It's definitely a different art style than what
Yeah,
we're used to.
it's like a very sketchy notepad almost.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it was drawn on like a child's notebook or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like the second game that looked like that. What was the other one that was like, I can't remember, the guy who made Twisted Metal is making one, I think.
Oh,
David Jaffe.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I can't remember what that was, but yeah, this literally looks like a Grand Theft Auto drawn in pen. Which is a neat idea, because I haven't seen too many games that look like that. Apparently, it won the Global Game Jam 2015. It used to be a Game Jam game, and now they've developed it into a full game by a fellow called Andrew Jr. That looks pretty neat, actually. Yeah, State of Anarchy.
Next up is called Abandoned Night. I'm watching the trailer right now. It looks like a dungeon crawler.
Abandoned Night. So, it's Abandoned Night in terms of K. Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This was on the release list last week. I guess it got pushed a week. Yeah, this was the one that looks like it has maybe one of the worst art styles I've ever seen in a video game. It looks really terrible. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't like judging books by the cover. That's a lie. I love judging books by the cover.
You do,
and this cover is made of deceased human flesh. Next.
Yeah. All right. Midsummer Night is the next game.
That's another night, is it?
RPG Maker? I guess. You can really tell.
Yeah. This was also one that released this last week. Again, they must have pushed this. Yeah, it looks like it's made up. It's the one with the guy who doesn't have any legs by the looks of it for some reason. It looks like it was made in RPG Maker. Next.
Next up is 28 Waves Later, which was on the list last week too.
Yeah, that's weird. All these games got pushed for whatever reason.
Yeah. Next one is called The Temporal Invasion.
And that is the last one, indeed. Well, I like something that involves time travel, but do I want to feel like a real puzzle solver and explorer?
I feel like
no.
a real puzzle solver, TB? Don't you love
No,
puzzle?
I don't. I really, really don't. However, I will say apparently it's based on alt history, murder history, X-Files, and science fiction. Apparently. Yeah. You are free to use any available resource to use it. Oh, it's designed to be used with the internet in mind. So they've designed the puzzles knowing you can look shit up on the internet, and you're apparently supposed to. So it's a, kind of sort of treasure hunt, I suppose.
No, man.
That seems kind of neat. A niche, certainly, but neat. And that's it. And that way overran. Holy fuck, we need to start allotting more time for this section. But there you go.
I said that for like a year and a half.
We used to just blitz through them, and now we actually take time to discuss them. That's the problem. So we need to be less considerate to the developers.
All right.
Or we could just allot time
properly. We need to stop actually discussing their games.
No, we need to just blitz through them. So there you go. Mm-hmm. Right, that pretty much is it. Thank you very much for watching the Crucial Podcast today. There is, of course, more PAX coverage coming out, certainly from me. But Jesse, have you got any more Indie Weekend videos on the way, or?
The last one was today, and then next time I vanish for a weekend, we'll do more. But yeah, there's a bunch of indie games that I played that are up on the channel now, so go check those out. And we're gonna get back into the meat, to the real meat of getting
the legendary meat farm.
Yes, to get some damn Let's Plays finished, so I can move on, baby.
Yeah, instead of promoting great indie games, let's have part 397 of The Witcher. That'll be great.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
God willing, I'll get there one day.
You'll never finish that game. It's never going to happen.
No, don't say that. Don't put that juju on him.
Also, thank you, chat. We now understand there are a lot of good games with Rising in the title. I still think we should ban the word Rising in the title. All right, Dodger, what's going on with the channel this week? What's going on?
Finishing up Hustle Cat with Octopimp. I'm so glad everybody's been loving that game. It's one of those visual novels / dating sims where you're like, I know exactly what this game is. Of course it is. And then at a certain point, it gets weird, and I'm into that.
All right.
Yeah, so doing that, coming back to doing streams and things. So yeah, also have a pretty cool secret announcement happening at the end of the week, so keep an eye out for that.
Oh, secret announcement!
There you go. I have a shitload of videos coming. I'm going to commentate a few more tonight, most likely, and then try to blitz as many as I can tomorrow. I am going to Houston this weekend. I won't be gone too long. I have to literally go and officiate a wedding. I'm deadly serious. I have no idea how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do that anyway. Yeah, so I'll be back after the weekend, and then I'm going to Austin next weekend. I don't know why I didn't just stay in Texas, but I've got a ton of videos to do. Let me tell you which ones I've actually got footage of. So I think if I could, it won't let me bring it up and show you the footage. Damn it. Anyway, whatever. I've got a bunch of stuff. It's all good. Trust me. The only video I will not be able to put out in time is unfortunately Metronomicon, because the capture was silent, which sucks, because that is literally a rhythm game, so we can't really do that. So I'm going to ask them to get me another build. I actually had the high score in Metronomicon. I was very proud of myself. That is a dancing RPG in which you dance the enemies to death. I'll get more footage for that, but I've got a ton of videos coming over the next few days that are all going to hopefully be pretty great. And when I come back, I'll finish them. And outside of that, I think after this, I'm just going to stick around and finish the pack opening, because I have 150 more packs to open. So I'm just going to not leave the stream. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to fucking finish it so you guys won't pester me. So we will not be disconnecting the stream after the show. I'm going to open the rest of those packs, craft some decks, and see if I've got time to do anything else. But thank you very much for watching the podcast. And of course, thanks to our guests, Jesse and Dodger, who are now in the wrong place because they disconnected
Yay!
earlier.
I'm
Yeah.
Jesse Cox.
Yep.
I like cats.
Yeah, there it is. I have a luxurious beard. It's invisible. Thanks for watching the podcast.
Watch my anime podcast later or whatever it is.
Watch Jesse's Let's Play of Asgo Academy, the dating game featuring Jontron, Peanut Butter Gamer, and
Can't
more.
wait to play that game.
There you go.
Oh my god, can we play that? Can I play that with you on your stream so I can just make the voices of everyone we know?
That'd be amazing.
There you go. We've just created a collab. Wonderful. Thank you very much for watching the show, folks, and we will see you next week, and I'll probably have a guest at that point if I can find one. But thank you for watching. See you next time. I'm going to be back in a few minutes opening the rest of the packs. Goodbye.